And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are back here for the Bandit Racing League's 10th season in the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series here on Full Send Racing Network. We had another one of our traditional weeks off here in the 2022 Season 10 schedule, and well, now we are back. We are ready to get going, and what a track to come to. Charlotte Motor Speedway, one of the iconic venues of NASCAR, at the home of NASCAR here in North Carolina. And man, what a day we should be in for. I'm really excited to be back in the series. We were really heating things up when last we joined. I think Michigan was, I would argue, one of the best races this series has seen in a very, very long time. But tonight, we return for another mile and a half, I believe our third or fourth intermediate on the season, and a track here in Charlotte that is known to many drivers on iRacing. It is kind of one of the you could say flagstone tracks of the service. You run through this series or this track in every discipline and on your way up the oval ladder. But welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Full Send Racing Network coverage of the Bandit Racing League. I am, as always, your host. If you guys have been around for a while, you know who I am. I am Marshall Crocker Jr. And again, the graphic will continue to say Evan Wall next to it, but I am not joined by Evan Wall tonight, though he does do all the graphics for this series and has done a bunch historically to make this this broadcast what it is. He was here before I was here on the Bandit Racing League. But now, joining me alongside me tonight is once again Christopher Ferrara. He's back in the booth, driver of the number 13 car in the series traditionally, is a longtime veteran of the Bandit Racing League, but tonight he once again joins us up here in the booth for the Magothy Consulting 125 here at Charlotte. We will talk to you more about Magothy HR Consulting, tonight's race sponsor, on behalf of Eddie Hackey, driver of the number 97, in just a moment. But welcome, Chris. We are back. We are ready to go for another night of racing here at Charlotte. And well, as the season gets later and later, that push gets closer and closer to the cutoff before the playoffs here. I think this race is a big one, and as I just mentioned, a track where a lot of drivers will have experience at Charlotte. Everybody runs this track on their way up the iRacing ladder. I think experience is going to even out, and if everybody's known the track before, do you think this track is going to play well to the newer guys or some of the older veterans we're used to seeing in Victory Lane?
Yeah, this is a track that from when you jump on iRacing, you're introduced to this track very, very early on. So a lot of guys are going to have a lot of lap times, but I really think experience is going to play dividends. It's really great to be back after our little quick hiatus, our little quick break there. So I'm very excited to be back. This is going to be a good one. We have a lot of cool things to cover tonight. This points battle is really heating up. The top of the points is heating up. The cutoff line's heating up as we close in on the playoff picture here. So I'm really excited for this one, and I can't wait to see what kind of show we have tonight.
Yeah, we got plenty to go over, especially in the intro here. We're going to go to a quick race recap in a few moments presented by one of our utmost sponsors, Perfect Shine Auto Spa, but we'll get to that in a moment. Very quickly, Chris, I want to talk about the two guys that I think heading into tonight have to be the focal point as we get towards the cutoff for the regular season championship to be crowned. First guy we got to talk about, he was the driver who won here most recently in the Xfinity cars in the Bandit Racing League in Season 8 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He knows what he's doing around this 1.5 mile tri-oval here, and that is Nick Nickerson, the guy who is still leading the series points. We'll go over the series points in just a moment as well on the broadcast, but as he careens into the inside wall there down pit road here in practice, 4 wins in Season 10. That is now tied with Benjamin Lacy for most in the series, but nobody else even has 2 besides those 2 drivers. Nick has just been above and beyond, and he got his 2 wins at the road courses like we were expecting, but he's just so consistent everywhere that you gotta say, Chris, remember, he was lapped last week by series rival there for the top of the points, Benjamin Lacy. I wonder how he's going to respond to that coming out of that race at Michigan, and how do you think he'll respond here tonight at Charlotte?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I talked to Nick a little bit before the race. He said that this isn't traditionally his most favorite track, his most consistent track. He says he struggles a little bit in 3 and 4. It is a little bit of a tricky corner when you go through 1 and 2. It's a little bit more flat out, where 3 and 4 gets a little bit tighter. So it's going to be really interesting here to see how Nick can navigate his way through this race. He does have a 34-point points lead over Brett, if I'm not mistaken. But Benjamin Lacy is right on his tail there. He's 43 points behind Nick and 9 points behind Brett, and Benjamin's been really, really hot lately, and it's going to be really, really interesting to me to see how well he can bounce back. I know that he's had a little bit of a non-Nick Nickerson type of few races here, so I'm really looking for him to bounce back and have a really strong race tonight and contend for the win.
And the other guy we got to talk about there in the, well, actually top 3 in points, not top 2 in points, but top 2 in wins, and now 4 wins on the season. This has undoubtedly been the breakout year for the driver of the number 7, Benjamin Lacy. He's coming off a win at not only Michigan, but also the week before at Bristol, 2 very differently sized racetracks. He's gone back-to-back in 2 weeks. We have not seen a 3 in a row this season in the Bandit Racing League. I don't remember the last time we would have. I don't think Nick had a 3 wins in a row winning streak last season in season 9, so this could be big. We haven't seen this level of dominance week over week in a very long time. And again, lapping Nick for most of that last lap on the last 2 weeks ago's race at Michigan. I think Benjamin was just flexing his muscle. These intermediates have played well to his skills here, Chris. This is a track discipline he could be quite good at. Could you see the number 7 car going for win number 3 and getting to 5 on the season, which I believe would over double his win count prior to this season?
Yeah, Marshall, I certainly think so. Benjamin's probably one of the hottest drivers we have in here right now. He's absolutely torching the field every single where we go. Places where we didn't think he was going to be quick, he's quick. Places where we know he's quick, he's also even more fast. You know, the differentiating factor I think between Nick and Benjamin right now is the incidents. You know, I look at kind of our data here, and Nick has almost 25 less incident points. He's keeping that car a little bit cleaner throughout the race. He's bringing the car home. You know, he might have not had the best finishes as of late, but when you look at the statistics, he has a couple more top 5s, a couple more top 10s. Nick's just bringing the car home cleaner. So I'd really like to see if Benjamin can keep this hot streak alive, stay in the top 5 or even the top 10, and just keep the car clean. And I think that's good. That's going to be his focus going into the championship.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And I think Nick's consistency and ability to avoid incidents has been kind of one of his hallmarks for the last 4 or 5 seasons in the Bandit Racing League. It's what won him a title, and it's what keeps him so constantly in the picture for a series championship. Now, very quickly, before we go too much further, as qualifying begins here, our 5-minute qualifying session here in the Bandit Racing League before each of our races to crown a Rogue Energy Pole Award winner, the driver who will roll the field off on the front row, on the inside of the front row. For the start of tonight's race, we'll crown that in just a moment. But first, we got to talk about our sponsor for tonight's race, and it's a new sponsor to the series. That is Magothy HR Consulting, courtesy of Eddie Hagge. His mother's company, Magothy HR Consulting, is dedicated to providing personalized career coaching and business human resource consulting services where the focus is entirely on you and your small business. If you want to find out more information, see what they can do for your small business, reach out to Eddie Hagge on Facebook or go check out their website. That is MagothyHRConsulting.com. Link is, as always, in the description. Thank you to Magothy HR Consulting for coming in and joining us as one of our new series sponsors. It is always a pleasure to have new sponsors and new businesses joining the series, and always happy to shout out a company that is near and dear to our Bandit Racing League family. Of course, Eddie Hagge's mother, the representative there for Magothy HR Consulting. But with that, we are now ready to watch a couple laps here in qualifying. We'll get to your race recap. I think we'll make it during a caution, or we'll find a lull in the racing action because we got some stuff to show. And again, here we go. Benjamin Lacy getting ready to get started here. I'm trying to, off the top of my head, remember what this season looks like as far as top championship contenders and polls goes. I don't know if, Chris, you have a moment here to check that out and see who has been successful so far this season in that regard. But a new paint scheme for the number 15 of Christopher Hamilton for GFR Racing, and he is going to roll across the line for the end of his second lap. So he is going to set the benchmark so far, a 30.64 there in tonight for him. Oh, we still have some information left up from Benjamin Lacy's graphic. Christopher Hamilton is neither third in series points at the moment, nor is he does he have 4 wins on the season, but he has been incredibly successful this year for GFR Racing, making his first full-time appearance in the Bandit Racing Leagues as the times continue to fly up on the board there. Curtis Yancey is running live on track right now as his lap comes to an end, running a new number 51 scheme on that Chevrolet Camaro, the sort of patriotic kind of livery he's running there this week. But Benny Hogan going to come to a conclusion. He had a second in practice tonight in the pre-race warm-up. He's going to go third on the timing tower here for qualifying. Connor Gibson's lap is finishing up and try to find somebody in the middle of their lap. Eddie Hagge would be a driver that fits that bill. The 97 car, sponsor of tonight's race. The number 97 coming to the end of his lap for tonight. There we see Hayden Paul kind of snaking down the backstretch. He's going to be our kind of test car to see what the lines look like here at Charlotte. So running about a half width, maybe a full width on entry up from the inside line there, and then maximizing his run off the exit. We'll see where Hayden Paul puts the car here, but still Christopher Hamilton continues to be your pole sitter. But yeah, Chris, we've seen plenty of variety this season, maybe where the wins haven't been quite so differentiating as far as different race winners here, 2 guys having 4 wins apiece. The polls have been. It seems like nobody can really rack them up race after race, and I think Charlotte's a track we can see a lot of guys take that Rogue Energy Pole Award tonight.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, this is one of those tracks, kind of like a Michigan, where you can really play with the car. If you hit the line just right, you can really put down a really hot lap. So you can see some guys up here maybe that haven't been up to the front. To answer your question from a little bit earlier, Nick has the most poles on the season so far. He has 3 poles, but right behind him, his championship contenders there, the other 2 at the top of the leaderboard, Brett and Benjamin, both have 2 poles as well. So looking to see if we can shake things up. We have a couple other guys that have been able to take some poles away from those top 3, and let's see what we get here.
Here we come down the backstretch for GFR Racing, the number 1 of Ricky Hart Jr. Again, a guy who has not won this season. I don't believe did in season 9, but a former champion of the series. Definitely a track discipline that I think is going to suit the number 1 car tonight. Ricky Hart is a guy that has been good at the intermediates in the past, and he comes across the line now to finish up his, I believe, 2nd qualifying attempt of the night. He's not going to go into the top 10, but he's also going to put himself in the top 20, going to go to 18th. And that should really exemplify, Chris, how close tonight's race is going to be on flat-out pace. Less than half a second separates the entire field. Less than 0.2 separates the top 14. It is close up top, but Christopher Hamilton pips Curtis Yancey, who was fastest there in practice. Some exemplary pace being shown there by the number 15 car.
Yeah, I think that just goes to show kind of the amount of experience all these drivers have here. You know, it's a kind of universal track. There's a couple quote-unquote cookie cutters track that NASCAR like to run. You know, previously old Talladega, previously old Atlanta, all kind of the same kind of structure, maybe a little bit of different banking. But that dog leg in the front is very familiar to us throughout the NASCAR circuit. So you're gonna see a lot of guys here have really solid runs. I'd like to get back to who we have for our race winning predictions a little bit later. I'd like to see what the chat has to say first. Yeah, I'm strapped in. I'm ready to go. I'm really excited for this one, and it's good to be back off our off week.
As am I. It feels great to be back here on a Wednesday night, getting some racing action in, and we are ready. We're going to very quickly show you your championship standings coming into tonight's race. You see Nick Nickerson at the top of the board, as previously mentioned. Not Benjamin Lacy in second. Brett Guzik, the man who's on a consistent streak following up his championship year last year in season 9. He's also got a win to his name at another very similar intermediate race in Atlanta earlier this season. So it is Nickerson, Guzik, Lacy, Joshua McQuiggan in 4th. Curtis Yancey having a great year in 5th. Alec Daffin's a race winner this season. He's in 6th. Ricky Hart Jr. in 7th. Christopher Hamilton, tonight's pole sitter, in 8th. Mark Allen Bivens and Jason Greenwell round off your top 10. There you see the rest of the board down to 18th. We will jump you down there just to check where your favorite driver currently sits in the Bandit Racing League points standings. And then we'll get ready to go here. Christopher Hamilton kind of blinking in and out momentarily. Hopefully his internet issues, if any, are temporary, and we will get set tonight with no other issues. So there we go. That is that. We are ready to go here. And some graphics are going to freeze on screen momentarily. So let's just get those bad boys taken off again. Once you're in the business long enough, we've been here for, this is our 3rd season here on, well, the 2nd season for Full Send Racing Network, but my 3rd season involved with the league. You just figure out these issues and you get used to them and you figure out how to adapt over time. Now we're ready to go here to crown your Rogue Energy Pole Award winner for the night. That's right, it's the driver number 15 is going to roll off on the front row. Mr. Christopher Hamilton will lead Curtis Yancey and the rest of the field down tonight. I believe it is Chris's first of the season there in the Rogue Energy Pole Award spot. Good for him. Thank you for Rogue Energy for always sponsoring our series when it comes to these pole awards. So let's get ready. Let's show you your starting grid for tonight's race here at Charlotte for the Magothy Consulting 125 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. On the front row for GFR Racing, it is Christopher Hamilton alongside Curtis Yancey, driver of the number 51. On row number 2, it is Benjamin Lacy, Benny Hogan rolling off together. Tony Hilbrands and Brett Guzik make up row number 3. Nick Nickerson and Brandon Jackson, that's a fun row 4. Jason Rome and Connor Gibson, an all-Canadian 5th row here tonight. And we got Dawson Guzik starting alongside Mr. David Lakey. Down the board a little bit, we go to Joshua McQuiggan and Alec Daffin on row number 7. Eddie Hagge, Hunter Henry in 15th and 16th. 17th, Gary Wright. 18th, Ricky Hart Jr. Kevin Foster and Nolan Gross round off your top 20. Then it is series founder Bill Harkins alongside Steve Ulrich. Then on row number 12, it is Bivens alongside Ismael Padilla. After that, it is going to be that is going to bring us to the end of the field. At the end of this graphic, it's Jason Greenwell starting 25th. Hayden Paul, whose lap we were watching there for a moment, in 26th. And Alan Castle will round off the field on behalf of Rogue Energy in the 27th spot. We are ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. The cars are doubled up, stacked up, and we should go green this time by. It's going to be Yancey on the outside of Christopher Hamilton, tonight's Rogue Energy Pole Award winner. We will talk more about our race predictions in just a moment. I got a few opinions as far as who I think could win it tonight, but we will find out in a moment. 125 laps and 1.5 miles. Let's get going here tonight. Christopher Hamilton takes us to the green, and we are green here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Good start there on the inside for the 15 of Christopher Hamilton. Comfortably rockets ahead of Curtis Yancey, who's immediately going to get overtaken, it would seem, on the inside line by Benjamin Lacy, but no, better run on the outside for the 51. He will fight back, and the 15 and the reverse 15 are going to go side by side on the entry down to turn number 3 for the very first time. Tony Hilbrand's further back. Contact! Hilbrand's immediately into the back bumper of Lacy. Chaos in behind.
How did nobody crash?
We stay green. Oh my goodness, Chris. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen as far as nobody wrecking. Connor Gibson
cars
further
in the
back.
grass.
Connor Gibson further back. He's fine though. Stays on track. We're on board with Connor Gibson. Crazy stuff here at the start of tonight's race. And just like that, Chris, we're 1 lap in, and your top 2 have over a half second, almost a full second lead on 3rd place. What a start.
Well, I mean, if that doesn't show you how good the drivers are here in the Bandit Racing League, I don't know what to tell you. We should have alluded to this a little bit earlier in the broadcast. This track is a little cold right now. It's going to be a little slick. Cars are going to be really loose. You saw the 51 there wash up in that beautiful new paint scheme he has going on. That was an absolutely crazy moment. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought we were going to lose all of our leaders there. That was wild. But they stay in it, and we're racing on here. But that was crazy.
Further back, we got to watch through the field here as we saw the chaos on the first lap. Now everybody's packed up. We see Jason Rome and Alec Daffin going side by side. Daffin already have 3 spots. He qualified 14th. He sits on 11th at the moment in that 48 car. Joshua McQuiggan further back trying to chase down Connor Gibson, the 2 Canadians sitting 12th and 13th. A little ways up front though, Brett Guzik going side by side with Brandon Jackson, 2 multiple-time Bandit Racing League race winners, and they have quite a bit of history as far as battling it out side by side. So the 99 and the 04 going to take it down to turn number 3, and they might have some company in just a moment here as Daffin and more importantly Jason Rome, I would say, starting to get in the fray. The 81 of Jason Rome, great start for him. He qualified in the top 10, and he is looking to keep it moving forward.
Marshall, it's going to be really interesting to see if any of those cars got damaged. I didn't see any car contact. I know the 51 and the 15 got together a little bit. I don't think that should affect them too much, but we had cars in the grass. We had cars sideways everywhere. Another important thing about that is those cars got a little sideways. They might have buzzed the tires a little bit, hurt those tires. We're going to see if we go green here, how that's going to affect them on the longer run. But now that everybody's kind of got settled out, everybody kind of takes a collective deep breath here. We're back to racing, and we have some great racing throughout this whole pack, throughout this top 10.
I think the most interesting car is, as far as checking for damage and seeing what the long-term effect is here, is Benjamin Lacy, because remember, he was the guy that got tagged originally by Tony Hilbrand's in turn 3 to start that whole incident, and now he's kind of settled in a little bit. He's sitting there in 6th, right behind Hilbrand, so potentially payback could be coming in a moment, but the 84 of David Lakey, they're battling it out hard with him. He's keeping with him pretty well, and the 84 car is a guy that we've seen pace from in the past many a times. Another veteran of the Bandit Racing League here, the Greenville, Kentucky native. He's a guy I remember being pretty good at Charlotte, so the fact that he's sitting there in 7th, not a total surprise. And a little ways further up, we're starting to see somewhat the battle for the lead beginning to reform. Christopher Hamilton getting tracked down somewhat by Curtis Yancey. And the thing we've always known Curtis for here, Chris, is his short run pace has been what we've talked about for a very long time. He's really good in qualifying. He's really good in races to the finish and being a good closer. But as far as these longer runs, that tire conservation, that's going to be the question. And historically with Charlotte, would you say this is a track where, short run pace is going to be more essential, or that long-term conservation ability that maybe is less so up Curtis's alley? Which one do you think is going to be the more suitable racing style tonight?
Yeah, it's really a tough one. The tire fall off in here isn't really that bad. You can kind of get away with pushing the car a little bit harder than you would at a track like Michigan or Auto Club or something like that. But you can kind of see some guys, they can push it a little bit harder in that run, and if they get that big lead, they might not lose it as quickly as you would at another track. I would like to note, as we saw in the chat here, 92 car does have right rear damage. That will affect him certainly on the longer run. If we do go green here for quite a while, he's going to have to get that fixed. He might have to burn his fast repair, so that's going to be a developing story we're going to have to keep our eye on. But that 84 car, I know he's a bit of a fan favorite here. He's been so sneaky quick these past couple weeks. He's been in the top 10, fighting for top 5s, I'm really looking for a good performance out of him tonight. I know he's having a lot of fun, and I really like the way this 84 car is moving right now.
Yeah, he's very quietly put himself in position to maybe get into the playoff picture by the end of the season. He's on the cutoff line there for the top 11, so definitely somebody I could see making a late season push for championship contention there once we get off to or just after Talladega. There you see as we go down the backstretch just how close it is. Everybody's starting to single file out a little bit. Not a ton of side-by-side battling. But a little ways back, we do see a side-by-side battle between Ricky Hart Jr. and Hunter Henry. Hunter was peeking to the inside of him. Did need to back out. The 9 car has lost 3 spots since the start, but still is right there in that pack. I think anybody here, Chris, within about 10 spots could suddenly find themselves moving up a couple. We see Ismail Padilla down to the inside of Gary Wright as we head down to turn number 1, and Nolan Gross not too far behind. So there's plenty of action, and I feel like we're seeing right off the bat that it's pretty easy to fall right in the wake of the car in front, or at least early in the stint there. But you got to imagine as the tires get older, that's going to start to change, and maybe the dirty air will start to play more of an effect. Maybe guys that conserve early will be at an advantage, and maybe guys are going to start moving out of each other's lines, and we'll see guys moving up and down the track a little bit more.
Yeah, certainly. I think you're going to start to see the top line come in later in the run. You're kind of seeing guys go up there a little bit. I think right now it's a little too early. You're going to want to, run that apron and really keep that car tight down there. 3 and 4 is super tricky, and it can really mess up your entire lap. It gets really tight out of that corner with the cars being a little bit looser right now. The track temp is pretty cold for a race at Charlotte, but we are having a night race tonight. So it will be interesting to see, like you said, how that develops throughout the race, how guys manage their tires. I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as it was last week, but you will certainly see that a little bit here. Another thing we want to touch on here, as you see it in the chat, the fuel run here tonight is about 40 laps. We've seen guys be able to do it in 39, a couple to do it to 41, 42. So we're going to see how well these guys manage their fuel and their tires. Something that I'm seeing here a little bit further back in the pack, you touched on him a little bit. Ricky Hart, this is a little bit out of character. I think that this track is a really strong track for him to be in 17th right now. I don't know if this is a little bit of a strategy play. Maybe he's saving a little bit. He's going to rock it towards the front toward later in the run. Maybe he's saving some fuel, banking on this being a fuel mileage race. Maybe the thoughts of last week on how he possibly threw away a really good finish due to fuel mileage and the wrong strategy is sitting in the back of his mind, and he's trying to save that fuel. So we'll have to kind of see how that one plays out.
Up on the wall on the outside here through 3 and 4, we see Dawson Guzik put 2 tires on the that solid walling there on the outside line. The 44 car he's shown good pace overall, but he's had a couple little slip-ups here that have dropped him back a little bit. You saw Ricky Hart Jr. on the in-car cam a lap ago have to check up in turn number 2 to avoid contact. There on the inside is the 76 of Mark Allen Bivens. New paint scheme for him, and it is a pretty solid-looking entry there, the number 76 car. So 2 orange cars there, now trying to get by the tandem of GFR drivers who just moved past there, that being Ricky Hart Jr. and Kevin Foster. And to your point there, Chris, yeah, they are both up 4 spots from the start of tonight's race. So yeah, maybe some truth to the fact that these guys are on a bit of a strategy call after a week where strategy did not play to their best suit. Joshua McQuiggan with a little bit of front end damage you can see from this sort of further away cam. That front nose sort of dented in, so we'll see what that does to his long-term pace. Right now he is ahead of both Connor Gibson and Jason Rome, who battle side by side here. This is for 12th position. But yeah, interesting the way that this has fallen for Ricky Hart. And I almost think, Chris, at a certain point, the way we've been watching these guys over the course of the year is the 31 and the 81 both sliding into the high line might give Ricky 2 shots at a position in one corner. He will get by both, so up to 12 goes Ricky Hart Jr. Now he goes after, again, the damage number 29 of McQuiggan. But I think for all the GFR guys, except maybe Nick and even him to some extent, I feel like they've really thought out the strategy to a T, and I almost worry that these races have been so chaotic, as we see the 99 and the 92 proving my point as they go side by side to turn number 3. I think it's almost so chaotic that, trying to overthink your strategy, I think, can definitely become a worry. And I almost think they've done that a couple times this season. So I think just simplifying it out, playing your strength, which for those guys should be pace, because they're all very fast drivers, I think that should be their strategy and their focus here. And it's working well for Nick, because he has broken away quite a bit from Benjamin Lacy, who now battles with Benny Hogan for 4th.
Yeah, it's really easy to get caught up in the strategy sometimes. You can overthink yourself and then, second guess yourself. And sometimes you just kind of got to go with the flow. We're seeing the battle for the lead tighten up here a little bit. Nick's reeling in Curtis here some. So I'm curious to see. I know Nick didn't have a lot of confidence with his race. He said he wasn't in the sim that much this week. So we're going to see how that works out. But you have 2 GFR cars, 1 and number 3. So I do want to shout out really fast while we have the chance to Christopher Hamilton's sponsor, Vent Motorsports. You know, we shouted them out on the social media earlier in the season. He's very involved with them, and it's good to see that car up front. I know he struggled the past couple weeks, so want to give his little time to shine there with that sponsor. He's very involved with that charity, and it's good to see that car racing up front this week.
Yeah, it is. I think this is by far, at least this early in the race, the best showing we've seen from Christopher Hamilton, really proving that top-end pace that I think we've all known he's had. And I actually got a chance to race with him in pretty close quarters back there at Watkins Glen. I know a very different track, and his road course abilities, I think, he's at an even higher tier with those comparatively to the rest of the series than he is in the ovals. But it was really fun to get a chance to race against Chris, and it's just become so clear how calm and how progressive of a driver he is as far as his steering inputs. Very smooth, very calm. He's terrifying to race against because you know how that car is on one lap is going to be better than where your car is at that same lap as long as you're on the same strategy. So I think he's a guy who should do pretty well for himself conserving to the end. And again, the question is Curtis. The pressure's on him. We know the pace is there, and he's been so good this season, staying consistent and being strategically strong. But now he's going to have that pace we always talk about him for, because here comes Nick Nickerson to battle him for second. The 2 car down to the inside of the line, just comfortably taking that line. And now you start to see it. You talked about, Chris, that top line coming in. Do you think later in the stint, maybe 25 laps into the about 40 lap stint we'll expect on fuel, the top line could actually become quicker if you get better runs off and you're on older tires?
Yeah, I think so, but what you're going to need is you're going to need some guys to go up there and rubber it up for you. You need a little bit more grip up there. As you saw, Curtis was able to defend that run from Nick, trying to go to the inside. As here he goes again. You're just going to see Curtis get a little bit better of a run coming off the top side. Nick's not able to clear up to the wall like he wants to coming out of the corner, and you're going to see Curtis bounce back here. Not quite. Nick had the better exit off that corner. Curtis got a little bit of little tight in the middle, so that's what you're going to see. As that top line comes in, I'm telling you that's going to be probably the quicker way to go later in the run. But right now, it still looks like the bottom is the preferred line.
Checking back in a little ways with this battle between Hogan and Lacy. Benny Hogan has officially made the move and does sit about a half car length ahead of the number 7 car. And Benny Hogan, a guy that very quietly has been really good at the intermediates in the past, and really good at Charlotte particularly. He made the switch over this season from the 5 to the 11 car, and since doing so, he has been one of the best in the series. Definitely a top 10 driver so far this year, and now he's going duking it out with the guy who's got 4 wins on the season. Is back up front, the number 2 car again. Those big inside moves out of nowhere, going to send it under his teammate at GFR Racing in the 15 car of Christopher Hamilton. Again, that neon yellow entry. So there goes Nick, gets the move done, and a more aggressive strategy on the inside than we're used to seeing from Nick. Usually he's a very patient, calm guy, and definitely those weren't typically aggressive passes. We see Curtis going to go with him side by side. Christopher might lose 2 spots in 1 lap, and he will, just that backwards momentum playing against him. But yeah, inside moves there, just setting it up the inside. Not typically what I think of when I think of Nick Nickerson's driving style. So maybe just something different at play tonight. Maybe Nick taking a different approach after 2 weeks in a row being beaten by his championship rival.
Yeah, I think so. You know, Benjamin had his fingerprints all over the last race, and he's kind of had his claws on this league as he continues to dominate this series right now. And I think Nick is tired of hearing that. He knows that he's a previous champion, and he knows that he's dominated this league in the past. And I think that he's trying to come out here and make a statement that he is the guy to beat. This is a track that he even said himself that he is not the most confident at. You have this guy, you have Curtis in second place here, who wants to get a win before the playoffs. He wants to secure his championship hopes by bumping him up a little bit closer into that top 8 area where he feels a little bit safer with the points. And you have Christopher Hamilton, GFR teammate to Nick Nickerson. He's trying to have a really strong run. He's had up and downs all throughout the season. I think he's getting a little bit more consistent now. A little bit of an off week last week with the strategy call, but I think that GFR as a whole is trying to make a bounce back. I know we don't go into this too much, but it's something that I like to pay attention to as far as the Constructors Championship, I guess you could say. BC Sim Sports, they're still leading the Constructors Championship. While they have a couple extra drivers than the GFR Racing Team, the GFR Racing Team, I would say, even though I am from BC Sim Sports, there's just a little bit higher of a competitive level at GFR Racing, and it's just really interesting to see how that's all working out. The points difference isn't drastically different, so I'd like to see how that plays out for the rest of the season as well.
I think a big thing about that team's dynamic that you talk about is I think the culture of a team, you know, kind of the more hardcore, you could say more measured approach, you know, trying to plan out strategies, trying to coordinate stuff together versus the guys that are a little bit more casual, you know, definitely teammates, definitely going to coordinate on track, but maybe aren't quite so worried about the minute details of running as a team. I think it separates them, and I think there are pros and cons to both, maybe getting to focus more as an individual. But even then, you know, we saw the GFR Racing guys up front. It wasn't too big of a worry. They still battled it out. Nothing really changed, and it doesn't appear that they were trying anything specific strategy-wise against Curtis Yancey, the only other guy running with them up front. And the one thing I noticed as Nick does start to kind of break away a little bit, that 2 car has opened up about a second and a quarter gap to the rest of the guys in the top 3. But Benny Hogan is coming towards them there as we see Benjamin Lacy not too far back. These 2 guys starting to chase down the names in front, and it's interesting the way this is sort of shaken out, the way we start to see, okay, as the conservation comes more into play, as we get to actually the 30 lap mark here. We're a quarter of the way through tonight's race here at Charlotte, which should tell you just how much shorter it is of a race duration than Michigan a few weeks ago. But yeah, you know, guys are going to start to see their conservation play out, but if the conditions stay the same as this, if we stay green for a while, which we have so far, this stint will tell you everything you need to know about these guys' overall paces. And I think keeping an eye on the guys who have moved up quite a bit is important. So guys like Ricky Hart Jr., who now sits in 9th, Alec Daffin, who now sits in 8th, both guys up 9 and 6 spots respectively. And of course, Nick Nickerson, who qualified 7th, currently your race leader. I think that's more telling than anything right now. And it's just interesting compared to Michigan, where guys were swirling all around each other. There was a lot of early cautions. I think the strategy is going to be a little bit more cut and dry tonight. I hope, Chris, that means we have about as deserved as far as pace goes of a winner as possible, and right now that looks like the number 2 car.
Yeah, I can agree with you more. The number 2 has definitely shown a lot of pace right off the beginning here. He's a little bit more patient, I think, and he's just really making the bottom work a little bit better than everybody else. Since we've last touched on it, the 7 has gotten by the 11 car as they continue to track down that 15 car. But right now, one thing I want to keep my eye on is the pay window is open as far as the pit strategy goes. We're approaching that number here, approaching that 40 lap mark where I think these guys are going to try and stretch it to. But really, if you're looking to make it on this whole race, if we're going to go green, you know, you're going to be trying to pit a little bit faster, get that undercut like we talked about last week, trying to get that jump start on the driver ahead. So it's really interesting here. We see another change of position, 15 car back to the 2nd place. So we're going to see how this all works out here. The 2 guys in 4th and 5th closing in on 2nd and 3rd, and we have some pit stops coming underway. So let's see how this all works out.
Yeah, this is going to get interesting here as Alec Daffin slides into his pit box. The 48 car going to be the first car down pit road on lap number 33. And I would say this is a little bit early. We had it estimated about 39 laps for us pre-race was going to be the pit cycle. As far as fuel goes, the fuel stint, I'm a little surprised to see guys this early, but again, it's going to come down to how many cautions do people think we're going to get, because that plays an effect on how many sets of tires you think you'll need, how much fuel to take. It's going to become a strategy race sooner rather than later, but I think it really just depends on who is willing to make those bold moves and try something different. And I don't think Nick really needs to react right now out front, because he's a 2.5 seconds clear of anybody. But a little bit further back, you get to the Curtises and the Benjamins of the world, who are about to duke it out as we speak, because Benjamin is closing in real quick on Curtis Yancey. I think that's where we start to see everybody start to jump. And further back, there's definitely potential for guys, with how close everybody seems to be, potential for guys to, try some undercuts, overcuts, and see if they can make up positions not on track. A great 3-way battle here for the 11th position. Dawson Guzik, Connor Gibson, and Eddie Hagee.
Yeah, the one thing that you want to make sure you do not get caught a lap down. This track, we've seen it traditionally in the past here in Bandit Racing League. Under green flag pit stops, you need to make sure you're communicating with the drivers around you. You can see a lot of wrecks getting onto pit road. This is a fast track. Getting onto pit road is quite a task. I'll tell you, it's really hard to get the car woed up, depending on where your brake bias is set. You know, the car may get a little upset. You might want to come around. You have drivers coming around you really fast. You need to make sure you're communicating really well getting on pit road. And you don't want to get a pit road speeding penalty. We saw that last week with Brandon Jackson as he was trying to battle for that top 5. He comes on pit road late and throws this whole race away by getting a pit road speeding penalty. So I'm really looking to see when these leaders are going to start coming down. You don't want to get trapped a lap down here, and I think that's what these guys are focused on. They're going to let the guys a little bit further back in the pack take that risk and see how that all works out for them. But these guys up front, they don't got to worry about that risk. They're racing their race up here. Nick's up to a little over a 1.5 second lead, and I think that he'll probably be one of the later ones to hit pit road.
Yeah, I would say you're right. Try to minimize the confusion there in the strategy. We know he's got pace there. This late in the run, you got to assume he will in about 5 laps time. So I think he'll stay out as late as possible. But guys who will not are Benjamin Lacy and Curtis Yancey coming with him right as Benjamin made the pass there, you saw, for the 3rd position there, getting by Curtis. Well, now both guys come down, and we'll take a fresh set of tires, some more fuel, and we'll take another crack at that first stint. Tony Hilbrands as well going to follow them in. Same with Dawson Guzek. I believe that is Connor Gibson following him in. Then that's Hunter Henry, Ismael Padilla, Mark Allen Bivens coming down as well. Then Nolan Gross and David Lakey. Steve Orrick, I should say. That is your list of guys coming down pit road. And here comes your race leader, Nick Nickerson, down pit road this time. So going to go 1 lap longer, along with GFR Racing teammate Christopher Hamilton. Benny Hogan coming with him. Nobody that I can see so far going to stay out the extra lap. So everybody coming down this time. And this should determine the strategy for quite a while. See who got an extra lap and who may stay out. And Eddie Hagge is going to be the driver to stay out. Eddie Hagge, he will not lead a lap there as tonight's race representative on behalf of your race sponsor. But still, going to stay out as long as he possibly can. And yeah, going to lead a lap. So interesting to see there. Same with Bill Harkins, who always tends to run a little bit longer than everybody else. So the strategy's starting to work themselves out. Christopher Hamilton is going to, I believe, come out close to Nick Nickerson. There goes the 2 car. The 99 actually going to jump over the 15 on pit road. And there goes Alec Daffin, who I don't believe... No, he has stopped, actually. He did stop on lap number 32, so he's had more laps on fresh tires. Again, this is where the strategies switch up. So there is Daffin, there is Nickerson. Nick should get him within a couple laps, you'd think. But yeah, really cool to see that Brandon Jackson got a couple spots there on pit road.
Yeah, I saw a couple guys slide through their box. A guy like Benjamin Lacy, he actually slid through his box. That hurt his gap between him and Curtis. You can see there's a pretty significant gap between him and Curtis now, and that's all because he just slid through his box. He had to back up to get his service. So minimizing those mistakes, right? We've talked about this early in the broadcast with the incident points, getting on pit road. That is what is going to make and define your championship run. These guys now, they need to work out those kinks. I know there's a lot of adrenaline going. This race started out in a crazy fashion. We have to see if these guys can settle in and continue to put on the performances like they've been doing all season. So I'm looking to see, hopefully, Benjamin, if he can rebound after making that mistake on pit road.
I don't know what's going on here further back for Brandon Jackson. Maybe didn't take tires or something, but guys are flying by the 99 car at a rapid pace. The 29, the 15, both underneath. Benjamin Lacy just flew by him a moment ago. Bill Harkins coming down pit road. That's a terrible camera angle. There you go. There down pit road is the number 5 car exiting as we speak. Back up front, though, it continues to be Alec Daffin for the moment, but you got to think that is about to change, as in the background there is the number 2 black, blue, and red entry of Nick Nickerson, who's getting close, and once he gets by him, we'll be about 4 seconds ahead of the next car, which would be Curtis Yancey. So that gap's starting to open up, and the question becomes, will we see a caution? And if so, when will it bunch this field up? Because right now, Alec's going to be in a good spot, even with this alternative strategy, if he can make it on field without taking an extra pit stop. But man, that 2 car looks fast tonight, doesn't he, Chris? Just set the fastest lap of the race.
Oh, yeah, he's on rails right now, and I don't know if he's just saying, you know what, I'm going to go and try and lap as many cars as I can in case a caution comes out, but man, I don't know what he did on pit road. You know, sometimes you can get away with speeding in certain sectors on pit road. There's timing lines, kind of like they have in real life NASCAR. You can speed up and slow down, speed up and slow down. Some guys know that, and maybe Nick, with how much experience he has on this server, he was able to learn that over time, and that's definitely a tool. You know, he's a previous champion here. I wouldn't put it past him, but I'll say, out on track, he is lights out right now. He is putting on an absolute clinic. We're going to see if he can carry this out through the rest of the race. To speak on what you said earlier with Brandon Jackson, I don't quite know why you would come down pit road and not take tires, unless that was kind of an error on his part. Maybe he set his box wrong before he came down pit road. There's no really reason to double stint tires. We have 3 sets of tires in the pits. It should be a 3-stop race if you do your fuel mileage right. You can maybe get away with a 2-stop. It's possible. It's a bit of a stretch. We'd have to see if a caution plays out. But there's no reason to double stint tires here tonight. I think that was an error on the part of the 99, or maybe he has a bigger plan in place. We're going to have to see.
We will indeed. Here comes Ricky Hart Jr. there further back. A guy you were talking about before, Chris, is a guy to watch out for. He continues to find momentum there as he pushes through the field. That'll put him up in 7th. He's right behind Brett for 6th. And then the 15 of Christopher Hamilton, who is flying right now, is in the ballpark. Isn't too far down the road, though he is about 0.3 a lap faster. But just really impressed with him seeing from Ricky as he goes right underneath through 3 and 4. Just shows more grip. Finds a way to perfectly tightrope that inside line. And there he goes, the number 1 car now up into 6th, up 12 spots from the beginning of the race, and running lap times faster than anybody in the top 5, with the exception of Nick Nickerson.
Yes, a couple seasons back, Ricky won the championship here. He's always been really strong here. He's another guy with a very large notebook on this racetrack. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, I thought it was a little odd that he was a little bit further back in the pack. I don't know if it was that chaos that came on lap 1 or what. On the flip side of that, our last season's champion, the 04 car, not showing quite the pace that I expected. You know, he won the championship here at this race last season. I just can't put my finger on it. I don't know if the track temp is not what he likes and he's just not getting the feel he wants in the car. It's just a little odd for me to see that 04 car not up here contending for that lead.
Yeah, the tough part is over the span of one stint, you never really know what guys are doing conservation-wise. You know, it's easy to pass off somebody being a little bit off the pace as, oh, they're conserving their tires more than somebody else. Maybe by the end of the run it'll all turn around. But yeah, after that first stint, he was in a good spot. Like, Brett's still sitting up there in 7th, not bad at all. But, you know, being behind a guy green all the way who started back there in 18th, you know, it's not what you'd expect from, as you say, a guy like Brett who typically is very good at the intermediates. So we'll see if maybe his fortunes start to turn around. He's starting to break away a little bit from Benny Hogan, so that's a good start. But yeah, definitely going to need to work his way up through the field quite a bit to get back in contention for a top 5, a podium, or potentially the win. But again, right now, that is the Nick Nickerson show for the time being. 4 seconds clear of 2nd place here on only lap number 50 as we come to the 50th lap, next lap, at a track like Charlotte that, as I talked about pre-race, everybody knows it is not a question of experience, which Nick does have in droves.
Yeah, as we see Curtis Yancey starting to close in on Alex Daffin, you know, I love that paint scheme on that 51 car. I hope the viewers can see how beautiful it is at home. I'm a big, you know, patriotic guy, being in the military myself. That is a beautiful car. It's a nice way to throw it to the 4th of July theme that we kind of have going on with the holiday just passing over here in the States. So it's really nice to see that car up front. It's a beautiful looking car, and hopefully you can bring it home in a nice finishing position. Another guy that we continue to see slip through the field, as we just alluded to, Brandon Jackson. He's down to 13th on the running order. I'm not sure what's going on with him. I expected a lot better result out of him today. I don't know if he has some tricks up his sleeve. We're seeing Ricky Hart. Now he's knocking on the door of that 15 car. I mean, he is rolling right now. I don't know if he has something for Nick. We're going to have to kind of see here. And then one last guy I want to touch on, we talked about him earlier, David Lacy. He is sitting in 11th right now. Still having a really good run here today. This is a track that I'd like to see him take home a top 10 or a top 5. I think he has it in his cards. Just got to see if he can bring home a solid race.
Yeah, he is absolutely on the doorstep, so we'll keep an eye there on David Lacy for the rest of the stint. But Curtis Yancey there getting by Alec Daffin just a moment ago. And again, that tire disparity, Curtis Yancey's tires about 7 laps fresher. So that long stint at the very beginning starting to pay dividends, and he will get by for the time being. Alec Daffin, who is going to settle in a little bit, and again, is going to stay 3rd. He's got a gap back to Benjamin Lacy by about a 2nd. And then it's Christopher Hamilton not too far in the line. Then it's Ricky Hart. So definitely, I think Alec is just going to be damage control here as those tires start to get older relative to the rest of the field, and just trying to see how far he can keep himself up before we reset. And if he can go long in this stint on fuel, that would definitely be, I would say, beneficial to his race strategy.
Yeah, and then something we had talked about just prior, or just past this green flag pit stop here, is Benjamin Lacy had slid through his box, and as you can see, he has Curtis Yancey has about a 1.5 to 2 second advantage on Benjamin Lacy. Benjamin actually came into pit road ahead of Curtis. So that just shows you how important it is to hit your box just right. Last week we talked about how Brett slid through his box on one of his pit stops there under green, and that really affected the rest of his race, and he was able to rebound. I want to see if Benjamin can put a little bit bigger of a dent into the advantage that Curtis has in front of him. He has to get by that 48 car. He knows he has a little bit of a tire advantage on him, but let's see what he can do here.
Yeah, I always tend to refer to those, you know, pit stop elements and how guys how guys find time aside from just the lap overlap pace. I usually call it intangibles, and I think when it comes to intangibles, Benjamin Lacy usually one of the best. And just in that particular scenario, yeah, found himself behind the 8 ball, and those small mistakes are ones everybody makes. I mean, infamously, when I think of Bandit Racing League uncharacteristic mistakes, I think of the infamous foot cramp from Road America back in Season 8 when Nick Nickerson's only non-road course win in the past 3 seasons came about. So that is, anybody can make mistakes like that, and now it's about Benjamin trying to recover from it. I think the best you can do if you're Benjamin Lacy is you watch Nick cruise away, now 6 seconds clear of Benjamin as we get to this point in the race, about lap 55 now. He's still got time to get back in the fight as he does get by again Alec Daffin, who is just on older tires. You can see now he's fighting with him, but that inside line is just so hard to keep if you're not on fresher rubber. And the fact that Benjamin means he does have the better run, and now it's going to be a question of when can Christopher Hamilton catch up rather than can he. Brandon Jackson officially pits down pit road. He had something wrong in that entire stint, like more so than just off the pace or something like that. We remarked about it, or I remarked about it there early on. But yeah, I just, something's going on there for him. I don't know if it's a hardware thing or something in the car, but just a really weird scenario. We'll see if we can pull him up here on Skype and just see the reaction. Looks pretty dialed in. I wouldn't say unhappy, but definitely not the night Brandon Jackson was hoping for. It's been an up and down season, pretty hit or miss, but we've seen a lot of those from Brandon Jackson in the past. So just sucks, yeah, as you were saying there, Chris, that it's worked out this way for a guy that I think generally speaking, and you even talked about it pre-race, could be pretty good here at most intermediate tracks.
Yeah, I'd say so. This is one of those tracks that I think is better for him. And as we're seeing this battle for 2nd through 5th kind of tighten up here with the 15 car looking under the 48, I think he's going to make this pass pretty clean here, and I think he's going to take the 1 car with him. You're starting to see Benjamin Lacy come to life here. He's making some headway towards Curtis, but man, that 2 car is on absolute rails right now. He has taken off to a 6-second lead. I don't know what you have to do. If I'm these drivers, I'm screaming, put out a caution, put out a caution. I don't want to see it. Maybe the viewers do. Put it down in the chat below. If you guys want to see a caution to have us stack up this field again, I'm sure it's coming at some point. But man, Nick is putting on a clinic tonight.
Well, that's the thing is normally I would side with you, Chris. I'd say, yeah, I'm almost certain we're going to see a caution relatively soon. Intermediate tracks can often cause quite a few of them, but the way we've gone so far, this field has really started to spread out. Aside from this great battle here between 2nd to 5th, you can see within about 1 camera shot, Yancey, Lacy, Hamilton, Hart, and Daffin. But other than that, guys are really spread out on track there. We don't really see those big clumps of guys that can cause those, 1 by 1 incidents. If one guy goes around, nobody can avoid. I don't think we've seen that much contact. And again, later in the race, you never know, as guys get more aggressive, as every pass becomes more and more crucial, maybe things will change. But right now, just hasn't really seemed to go that way. So I'm curious to see if we do get a caution. We're about to get to the halfway point. So 60 laps here under green. How much longer can we take that?
Yeah, we're going to have to see. It's only time will tell as we see the 7 car closing in on the back bumper to that 51 car. That's what I was talking about earlier. He's not gaining time on Nick Nickerson, but he has gained time on that 51 car. And, this is kind of the opposite story of what we saw last week, where Benjamin was pulling out some crazy leads and going back and forth with Curtis. Now we have Nick Nickerson surely going to close on a 7-second lead here shortly. As we have him navigating through lap traffic, there's 19 cars on the lead lap. It's a little bit tighter back there. From 19th to 15th, he's going to have to navigate a lot of cars. It's going to get tight. Drivers tend to make mistakes when they see the leader coming, especially with the extra speed that he has and the rapid rate he's closing on them. So we could see a caution. You don't want to see it. You never want to see the leader get taken out, but that is surely a possibility here.
Yeah, undoubtedly something that could be theoretically in the cards, but Nick is a guy that, especially with a 7-second lead, I don't think is going to be pushing super hard against lap traffic. Though again, he can't lose time over the course of an entire stint, because that's how you lose leads and that's how you lose races. But yeah, he's in his comfort zone. I feel like this is a spot that Nick is quite used to here in the Bandit Racing League, but maybe hasn't quite been in such a dominant situation at this point halfway through a race in a very long time. So good for Nick to kind of get back to what we're used to seeing from him. But definitely want to see one of these guys who isn't Lacy or Nickerson step up, because there's definitely a ton of pace here throughout the rest of the field. As I point to Curtis Yancey, who continues to hold off both Lacy, Hamilton, and Hart, who's now settled in. So this line of 4 cars is all for position. And I think this could get really interesting in a hurry. Here comes Hamilton there, last on the brakes into turn 3. Doesn't get the pass done, but is still in the vicinity, getting ready to do so.
And it's so frustrating if you're sitting here 2nd through 5th with these guys all battling. You're like, what do I have to do to close the gap to Nick? He's just getting away, and I'm doing everything I can in the car. It's so frustrating as you sit here, but there's nothing more you can do than just hit your marks, hit your laps, and hope for a caution in their case. Nick, you don't want to see that yellow flag, but at this pace that he has, unless some guys are on a separate strategy and they can get him on tires or something, he certainly has the pace to go out and win this race, bearing he doesn't get into any kind of incident. So, yeah, if I'm this group of cars here, I feel like I'm fighting for 2nd place tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately so if you're anybody else other than Nick. And Curtis now starting to break out a bit of a gap. No, he is not. Here comes Benjamin Lacy down the inside. You see that big kind of last-minute defensive maneuver from Curtis off at 2. He tried to give one last little block there, but no, it's not going to work. There goes the 7 car. Now he has to get by one lap traffic car of the D25 of Steve Ulrich. So he's going to try to get by him. Christopher Hamilton is going to go underneath Jason Rome, and he's fallen back actually quite a bit. Ricky Hart just got him that pass made for now 4th there for the GFR Racing driver. This could be 2nd in a moment, and I would start to say at a certain point here, Chris, as we see, could be an exciting side-by-side down the backstretch. Yes, it is. There goes the 1 car again. There goes Ricky past Curtis Yancey, I should say. Jason Rome there, the 81 car, trying to go with him as well. He's a lap car who I believe just pitted. Yeah, he's currently running in 26th position. But the way Ricky has moved up now, he's about 7 seconds behind Nick. I'm going to watch the lap times lap over lap, because that one's, well, actually they were dead even that lap, and Ricky had to pass somebody on the non-ideal line. If you factor out where these guys started and as the field kind of spreads out a little bit, you could make the argument that potentially Ricky has been the overall faster car. So depending on how fast he gets Benjamin Lacy, as again, the lap car of Rome goes underneath him. Whoa, Curtis getting real close to the quarter panel here as the 51 slides up. And now I think Christopher Hamilton can immediately slide underneath and take advantage of that mistake, and maybe Alec Daffin too. But I don't know. I think there's an argument here, Chris. Ricky could have the pace, especially with a caution, to go for the win tonight, his first of the season, and his first in, I believe, 2 seasons now in the Bandit Racing League.
Yeah, I certainly think so. I think he could probably compete with Nick if we kind of reset this thing, get a caution, get new tires slapped on these cars, and he could probably go out there and give Nick some pressure. It's going to be really interesting to see if these guys can close that gap a little bit. The advantage to Nick has kind of been sustained to around 7 seconds the past couple laps, as you see the 7 car come by and hit the line there. So, yeah, it's really difficult to say. You know, these guys have been battling, so that's of course going to affect the distance and the advantage that Nick's going to have over them. But Nick is lapping cars at a rapid pace. You know, we have 16 cars in the lead lap at this point. By the end of the race, if he keeps up this pace, we're going to have maybe less than 10 cars on the lead lap, and that is an absolute clinic at the level that we drive and race at this league. It's insane that the pace that he's still able to have this far in a run.
No, it's incredible, and just it speaks to his talent and the talent of anybody else who will be on this lead lap at the end of the night as far as their driver abilities. Here comes Alec Daffin down pit road, much better that time as far as conservation of fuel goes. Went to lap 70, which is going to be a pretty good stint there as far as trying to work his way back into contention for guys that are going to be on the longest pit stop cycles possible. Still not enough that I think he's on the ideal strategy. Tony Hilbrand's coming in. He'll use a quick repair. You saw the damage there on the rear end of that number 92 car, so he'll get his service and continue onwards. But yeah, going back and looking through the field a little bit, there was this battle that continues to rage on. Hayden Paul going to break it up a little bit there as he on fresher tires flies by. But now it's kind of split off into 2 side battles here. Jason Greenwell and Eddie Hagee battling for 10th. Again, Eddie Hagee, tonight's race sponsor on behalf of Magothy HR Consulting. But the 97 car, yeah, he's following in the line as best he can, and he's starting to work his way back towards the 83. So 15 spots up from the start for Greenwell, 4 up for Hagee. Bivens is up 11 spots in qualifying. So is Ismael Padilla as they are about to battle it out here for the 12th spot. Just a lot of guys making a lot of improvement at the cost of guys like Jackson, Hilbrands, Lacy, who have kind of fallen out of contention.
Yeah, these guys that are pitting now, they're certainly setting themselves up for a 3-stop race. They're going to be quite short on fuel. The guys are going to pit closer to lap 80. They have a chance to stretch it, lift a little bit early, save a little bit of fuel. It's still, you're going to come up about 5 laps short. So we're going to have to see who can manage the fuel the best. We had a fuel mileage race earlier in the season, which was really exciting, and I'm looking forward to that if we can get a fuel mileage race. Not many people like those, but I think that really just shows the talent level of a driver to able to still race at a very fast pace, as well as save the fuel and make it all the way to the end. It's just a different kind of challenge. Your heart's racing. You're looking at all your data. Do I have enough? And you got to save a little bit more each lap. So it just makes it so stressful, and how those drivers perform under that stress really shows you, are they really championship level contenders? And we're going to find out here, I think, tonight.
Well, 2 guys that could battle for a championship here by the end of the season. Definitely one guy that's further up the points than the other, but both of them currently sitting in a point spot. Benjamin Lacy and Ricky Hart, they're getting ready to go for this battle that I think could, especially if you go green to the end now, 50 more laps here, could be the definitive battle for second to end the night, because Ricky Hart is showing pace that nobody but Nick Nickerson can keep up with lap after lap, and I think Benjamin Lacy definitely looking more exposed as far as the tires there. So could be a case where we do see Ricky Hart get the pass done before the start of the pit cycle for both guys. Curtis Yancey now coming down pit road, the 51 car. Again, pitting a little bit earlier than the other guys around him. Again, we talked about tire wear could potentially be a worry for him, and that is going to suggest that is the case, but still going to come out, I would say, in a pretty favorable spot, as Benjamin Lacy now down pit road, going to pit before Ricky gets the chance to go by.
Yeah, you know, if I'm that 2 car, and I'm looking at this gap and how it hasn't really changed, I really think that Nick is probably trying to conserve fuel right now. While he's lapping cars and going through lap traffic, I think that he's trying to stretch this fuel as long as he can. I think he's banking on this going green, and he's going to run this fuel run as long as he can, so that way when he comes and gets his service, he has the best opportunity possible to stretch his fuel all the way to the end. I know that he's a little sour about last week and not having enough fuel to the finish. The strategy didn't quite play into his favor, as I think Nick actually hit pit road. So that's not what I saw coming. Ricky Hart, you know, gets the lead here, and I'm sure we're going to see him come down pit road here shortly.
Yeah, I think you're right, but even then, I think that extra lap on fresher rubber for the end of the race, I think Ricky Hart Jr., that was a good call. And the closer guys can get, especially if we do go green at the end, and if 39 laps on a tank of fuel is the right estimate, and it's a 125 lap race, that suggests just barely a 3-stop. And there will be room there for guys who can conserve. So which of the more veteran drivers who knows how to do that fuel conservation will do so? That'll be the question. But now on pit road, here he comes, Ricky Hart Jr., the guy who's had undoubtedly the most impressive night of anybody in the series tonight, is Christopher Hamilton, tonight's pole sitter, is also going to bring it down there into that front box. Kevin Foster coming down as well for GFR Racing, the driver of the number 8. And again, tonight's sponsor for Magothy HR Consulting, it is Eddie Hagge, a longtime friend of the series, a guy who's commentated a lot in the past, so good to see him get his shout out tonight, his chance to sponsor the series. We thank him as always for sponsoring, and thank you to any sponsor who's able to support our series. But Eddie Hagge now into his box and pits from a pretty good spot there, should come out within the top 10 once the cycle all works itself out. But still out front is Nick Nickerson, and that gap has shrunken. I will say it is smaller. It's down to about 6.5 seconds, maybe closer to 6. So not crazy smaller, but those intangibles there after that earlier mistake for Benjamin Lacy starting to work themselves out.
Yeah, and one guy that it didn't quite work out for as far as pitting maybe a lap later, a couple laps sooner than his other competitors out on track, Ricky Hart. He has the 7 car in front of him. He has the 51 car. So, you know, while he showed a lot of pace, now he has to use that pace to get by those cars instead of, you know, competing to try to track Nick down. So that's a bit of an interesting development there. I didn't see him make any mistakes getting on and off pit road. I think that's just the undercut that those guys had done on him. It kind of shows you the difference and how much those tires mean at this stage in the race. Again, I was paying attention to his pit stop. He didn't slide through his box or anything like that. These guys just beat him to pit road and got their service a lot quicker.
Well, while we have a moment now that the pit cycle's kind of worked itself out, Benjamin Lacy just made the move on Joshua McQuiggan, who I do not believe is on the same strategy. He pitted back on lap number 66. Let's go to your perfect shine auto spot through the field, maybe do a bit more of a detailed recap on each of these drivers sitting up here in the top 10. First of all, we got to start at your current race leader. He's led since the very beginning, and he has really not looked back. I believe Nick took the lead just before lap 10. Since then, has led every lap we've run under green without a pit cycle or a pit stop kind of getting in the way of that. He has been dominant. He is running about dead even right now with his championship rival Benjamin Lacy, who sits in third, and he has not been looking back. This has been the bounce back we've been expecting. And honestly, after the, well, I wouldn't say humiliation, but certainly almost getting lapped by Benjamin Lacy, not what we're used to seeing for the number 2 car. He has bounced back in a big way this week, and the Phoenix, Arizona native has been dominant. Now in second, guy who's again running a different pit strategy than everybody else. 7-lap earlier pit stop, but Alec Daffin is 4 seconds clear of Benjamin Lacy there. So the Pullman, Washington native, we know has legitimate pace of the 48 car, just aside from the legitimate strategy. So there, the strategy call could be a good night for him as far as maybe getting back in the podium. I believe it'd be the 3rd or 4th time this season. So what a rookie debut season it's been for him, and Alec Daffin happy where he is, I'd imagine, sitting only 3 seconds back of your race leader. We're going to cut to Benjamin Lacy right in the middle of, well, what I thought was a battle with Ricky Hart Jr. That might be Curtis Yancey in behind. But yeah, Benjamin Lacy, just kind of a quiet night for him in a way, which despite the passes he's had, both getting past and passing somebody, just never seems to have an answer tonight for Nick Nickerson as far as his pace, and a couple small mistakes on pit road mean he's currently having to settle for 3rd, but that could be 2nd depending on Alec Daffin's pace on the older tires. Ricky Hart Jr. after that, what a night it's been for him, up 14 spots from qualifying back there in 18th. What can you say about a night where all the way under green you get by 14 race cars and still running well, running right on the blue line, as you see up here on the close cam. Ricky Hart Jr. has looked not unstoppable, but truly like a guy with some real pace that, if we get a caution, could definitely challenge for the win. Right behind him is Curtis Yancey sitting there in 5th. The 51 car undoubtedly has the pace there, as we saw in both practice and qualifying, to compete for the race win. Just the way this race has worked out, those longer stints not playing to his advantage, and now as a result he sits a couple tenths back of 4th, but not quite in the conversation there for the lead, sitting about 10 seconds back. Other than that, we'll do a quick round out off the top 10. Here comes Joshua McQuiggan, just trying to get away from Brett Guzik as much as he can. Again, another guy on that older tire strategy. He pitted on lap number 66, and Brett about 10 laps later on lap number 76. So there goes Brett Guzik up on the high side, and we'll talk about him, the 04 car, who's about to move into 6th. Again, we talked about before there, pretty quiet night for him, maybe not showing the pace we were quite expecting, but hasn't made those mistakes. Those intangibles have been on fire, and that is why he now passes for just outside the top 5. Then it's Benny Hogan and Christopher Hamilton going to round off 8th and 9th there. Hamilton right in the back bumper of Benny Hogan, so we will keep it on this battle for the rest of the moment here. And Christopher Hamilton down the inside, your Rogue Energy Pole Award winner, is starting to challenge there, going the other way from where he was earlier rather than from front and falling back from the back and working his way forward. And Tony Hilbrand's kind of a quiet night for him so far, but number 92, we got to give him a shout out. Tony Hilbrand sitting there in 10th. Not a bad night for him, just seems like strategically hasn't gone the way he was hoping.
Well, Marshall, I've been paying attention to the action out here on track, and I'm looking at the ticker here. Nick is still pulling a lead, and now what that tells me is he is not going to save. If he was saving right now, we'd have already known it. I think that he knows that even if he tries his hardest, he's not going to be able to stretch it. Game plan is for him to build up that lead as much as he can, come in for a splash of fuel and go. Now, do these guys that are a little bit further back from him take that gamble? Do they try to stretch their fuel a little bit further than Nick and maybe go all the way to the finish? I don't know. At this point, where they pitted, they were looking at maybe 47, 48 laps, just based on the data that I think I saw and did the calculations. That's a lot of fuel saving they have to do. I don't quite see it. I think you're going to see a mad dash to get on pit road here towards the end of the race, see who gets on and off pit road the quickest. It's almost like the all-star race where they set the field based on the qualifying lap, and you have to come down pit road, get on and off pit road. It's going to be very similar. It's just kind of fitting that it's at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is going to be an exciting one to watch. Who can pull off this the best out of everybody?
Yeah, going to be a fun finish for that very reason. So again, still plenty of guys battling for these final podium spots. Right now it's Benjamin Lacy starting to chase down Alec Daffin. Some lap traffic making this tough. Jason Greenwell in the 83 car splitting those two guys, battling it out for second. Benjamin Lacy going to go to the high side, tries to get by, gets the door slammed on him by the 83 car. Now the 97 is on the apron, gets a little bit loose. Was that a spin we just saw from Eddie Hagee there in the background? No, keeps it on track, just got a little bit loose there, lost a couple spots. He will lose one to both Dawson Guzik and Mark Allen Bivens, so down in 18th, but might have a shot to get back by. I think he's got a little bit more pace as we've seen overall tonight than those two guys, but a three-way battle forming here for the second spot. Ricky Hart Jr. there in the catbird seat right in the background. Brandon Jackson not on the lead lap, but looking pretty quick right now. Look at this jumble of cars. The 7 about to try to go by. Benjamin Lacy getting by the older tired number 48 car, but look at this group off of turn number 2. The 7 getting by, the 1 of Hart kind of getting boxed in. Ricky Hart just didn't really have a lane there to get through, so Jackson slams on the brakes to avoid getting hit or running into the back of the 7 car. Gets brake checked by Benjamin Lacy. So now the 1 car down on the inside on the 48. Ricky Hart Jr. should get by, as again Alec Daffin just in damage control mode now with those older tires. But what a group. I think if we're going to see a caution, Chris, it could be from this pack, as still trying to go 3 wide. Brandon's trying to hustle his way through.
Yeah, shades of Talladega and Daytona, right? There's cars going everywhere, taking up all your lanes. You don't know where to go with your run. You're trying to time everything right, and there's cars going everywhere. Different strategies, different tires. It's absolutely mayhem back here. It's only a matter of time if these guys don't get this sorted out where we have a wreck. And I know that Ricky is probably communicating with his teammate saying, hey, man, there's a bit of a mess back here. I'm trying to navigate my way through it. As we see Nick pull out to an 8-second lead. He has lapped all but 11 cars on the track, or I should say 10 cars on the track, because he can't lap himself. I don't know, he's so quick, he might figure out a way to do that too. So, man, what a performance we're seeing out of this 2 car, but this is absolutely insane as we see a car get in the back of the 48 there a little bit. Oh, this is getting a little crazy. I don't know, if I'm Nick, yeah, you might be wanting to count on that caution.
Yeah, remember I was talking about earlier how it felt like everybody was spread out. Nobody was really pressuring each other too much as far as track position. That has changed. Everybody's kind of situated in this first half of the track right now in the turns 1 and 2 section. Just nobody here is really battling for position. Like, there's only one battle in this line of 2 cars in tandem that are running for position. That's Brett Guzik here in the 04 and Christopher Hamilton in that light yellow and black car, battling for 7th, and here is Curtis Yancey, who is battling with the 04 of Brett Guzik, I should say. So Curtis Yancey down the inside might get passed here by the 04 car. It peaks below him in the tri-oval, backs out of it again, but now might have the avenue. No, Curtis shuts the door again, almost contact there as the 04 car got real late on the brakes. So those 2 guys are gonna slug it out here in just a moment to finish up the top 5, which is currently held by Curtis Yancey. But again, this battle we saw a couple laps ago before the pit cycles. It didn't work out because Ricky didn't have a great pit cycle, but he's worked his way back on pace alone, and now Ricky Hart Jr. sitting there in 3rd. He's up 15 spots. Could it be 16? We will see in just a moment. We'll go on board here with the driver of the number 1 car.
Yeah, it looks like Ricky's car is working a little bit better. I like this approach. Like a half lane up from that 7 car. I feel like it's giving him a little bit more momentum coming out of the turn 2 there, and he's able to use that momentum and close the gap on the 7 car. You see it there a little bit. We'll see how he can put it together in 3 and 4, but man, Ricky's been really, really fast. It's hard to say that he's fast when you see the pace of the 2 car, but man, it's this battle's really heating up, and we'll have to see if the caution comes out here. I really like this 1 car versus that 2 car. He has the pace, and we talked about it earlier, but I'm telling you, this 1 car has the pace. I keep cursing this guy. I joked with them earlier last week saying, I'm done rooting for you in the broadcast because I keep cursing you. I keep throwing away your good finishes, and I can't keep doing it, but man, he's putting on such a good show for us tonight.
Yeah, he really is. We got to give him his credit if he's going to be this quick, and such a fun night too, qualifying a lot further back, but working his way through. That's what we like to see here on the broadcast. So as we come closer and closer to lap number 100, the time's running out again, so I don't think he can do it under green. 25 laps to catch up Nick, 8.5 seconds, though that gap has stalled quite a bit. I just don't think it's very realistic, but here we go. Down to the inside is going to go Benjamin the Block, and I think Ricky is going to be in that more ideal line as the tire stint goes on, but we might be in that crossover point. It could go either way. Side by side, off of 4, here comes Hart. Getting more and more ground. He's just past the quarter panel. Can he clear? Yes, he can. The 1 car of Ricky Hart Jr. make that 16 spots since qualifying. GFR Racing is in the top 2, and Benjamin Lacy, a guy trying to go for the regular season championship, that's only going to extend Nick's points lead, and that is the last thing you want if you were the 7 car tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you. And as I said previously, that 1 car was just that half a lane up. He ended up getting a little bit of momentum. He got a little tight coming out of 2, but he was on the outside of the 7 car. There was nothing he can do. You really have to shorten up the way you're getting out of the exit there. You can't quite bring it out to the wall all the way like you wanted to. He carried that momentum in 3 and 4, had the high side, kept that momentum all the way through the front stretch, and here he is sitting in P2 with a long way to go to that 2 car.
Looking back a little ways, just keeping an eye on this battle between Curtis and Christopher. Brett Guzik has begun to break away from Curtis Yancey, who just seemingly can't quite keep up there in that top 5 spot this late in the run.
7 car to pit road.
7 car indeed down to pit road. So this is the crossover point. Guys jumping in behind them. Daffin, Guzik, Hogan. I think this is a bold call, and this is a call that says to me, we are not going to get another caution to the finish, because if the earlier you're pitting, the idea is that you can maximize the number of laps on those fresh tires if you have a fresh set. The only trade-off being Nick has to pit as well, and if he pits in about 10 laps time, let's say, the trade-off there for the guys who are pitting now, led by Benjamin Lacy, is that he will be quicker in the case of a caution later, as no, he comes down the next lap and responds. So never mind, any strategic call that may have happened there is not going to really matter in the grand scheme of things. So very interesting as we see Nick pulling into his pit box. The way guys have decided to do this is Curtis Yancey actually going to finally run along for the first time comparatively to the rest of the field. Almost makes a little bit of contact with David Lacy. But yeah, he's going to run a little bit long now, so going to be on the freshest tires of anybody here at the end. But I think we've got to the point where if you don't think it's going to be a caution, pit now. If you think we will get one, maybe save him to later and be the fastest guy on track there at the very end of the battle to the finish.
Yeah, really interesting to see how this all plays out, right? So Benjamin Lacy comes on 1 lap earlier than Nick Nickerson. He takes 4 tires. His pit stop was a little bit longer. Nick Nickerson only takes right side tires. His pit stop's a lot shorter, but how much difference does that make up on track? As we see him rounding around the 1 car, he's going to get the 1 car on track too. So I'm really interested to see, as we have this 25, now almost 20 lap sprint to the finish, does the 4 tires make up enough difference for this 7 car? He has to overcome that difference on pit road in the pit stop overall. But does that 2 tire difference for Nick ultimately play a factor in his hand in this race?
Here comes Curtis Yancey now, going to go that extra lap long. He comes down pit road. But yeah, it's a really interesting inference to make there, Chris, because bold call from Nick, I think, to go off strategy. I don't know if he thought everybody was going the 2 tires direction or what, but he had the extra leeway. He had the track position that even if he'd pitted for 4, even if he had a 10-second longer stop, he would have been relatively okay, and I don't think he would have had to worry about battling for pace long term, because we know how quick that 2 car is. So it's an interesting call there for sure, as Curtis Yancey's going to lose more and more spots there. Now he's exiting off pit road as we speak. Will probably fall to about 9th or 10th. This race that was otherwise pretty good for Curtis, I think, just strategy-wise, didn't play itself out the way it needed to for the win. But yeah, now we start counting there, Chris. Now we watch that timing tower, and that gap is slowly coming down. It was 12 seconds a moment ago. Now it's down to 11.8. Just going to lose tenths and tenths, and 21 laps to go. Could that be the call that Nick regrets going forward? And could it give Benjamin the untied lead for wins this season in the series, break that tie with Nick? Could he go to 4 again? 11 seconds, 12 seconds. That's a long way to make up, but 2 tires is pretty significant, especially over the course of even a half stint here of 12 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't say it better myself. I don't know if it was more of a strategy call to say, hey, I think everybody's going to take 2 here, or Nick was just, you know what, I'm going to stretch this thing out. I have so much confidence in myself, I'm going to beat you on just 2 tires. I do like the call from the 7 car, and it looks like the 1 car had the same strategy as well. To take 4, that's going to give you the best opportunity. What Nick Nickerson does not want to see is a yellow flag. If a caution comes out here, that is it for him. He is going to struggle on the restart. Those left side tires are donezo. Nick Nickerson needs this thing to go green all the way to the end.
Just saw contact here. We're looking at towards a battle between a couple back markers here. David Lacy, I think that was Bill Harkins, and the 5 car just made contact there. That's the battle for 13th. So as Gary right here comes down pit road, driver of the number 6 car, he will take down to pit road and going to lose a couple spots there. Currently sitting in 21st. But yeah, that contact there between Bill and David, surprised that didn't bring out a caution, but both guys continue along. as Brett Guzik will put both drivers a lap down. Back up front to that gap. It is down to just under 11 seconds, so it's fallen, but he's going to need about, as far as Benjamin Lacy, going to need to gain about 1.2 seconds every 2 laps, which is a weird way to put it, but yeah, you could say about 0.5, 0.6 per lap is going to need to be the difference. So in one more lap, we will show the lap time comparison between the top 2 here. But actually, Brandon's sitting on the low line there, holding the 2 car up a little bit, you could say. So interesting to see how lap traffic treats him, especially guys that, in the case of Brandon Jackson, Chris, are not, I would say, used to being lap traffic.
Yeah, I don't think that this is a comfortable position for Brandon. He thought he was going to come out here and compete for the win. Just wasn't in the cards. I think it was a bit of a miscue. I don't know if he thought of a different strategy tonight or what have you, but this 7 car, he's not quite chipping away at the lead like I thought he would be, and this could be actually a strategy. The 7 car right now, if I'm him, maybe you're conserving your tires a little bit, just enough to stay in one of the 1 car. That is a big gap, and you kind of sit there and say, do I actually want to use up my stuff and try to chase down Nick for a 10, 11, 12 second gap, or do I sit here in second, at the very least come home in second? But if a late race yellow comes out, I have almost brand new tires, and I'm sitting in the catbird seat. So I don't know if that's what he's thinking. I think that's certainly where I would be going, is just managing second place, managing that gap to the 1 car. I don't know if he's going all out. I think that these guys may be waiting on a caution. We've seen these crazy little instances happening. It's all brewing. I don't know if it's quite in the cards, as we're now about 15 laps to go in this race. So we're going to have to see.
And I think the one thing that could really help out Nick, actually, between these 2 guys in second and third here, is this battle that could be happening between Ricky Hart Jr. and Benjamin Lacy as Ricky gets closer and closer, and now within about 2/10, he's in the passing window where he could make a move at any moment. And the more these guys battle, that's going to only hinder their lap times and only going to help Nick. Although Ricky, I would say, is faster. Benjamin was actually slower than Nick Nickerson last time by, whereas Ricky was about 2 to 3 tenths faster. So it's still not enough to catch him at the moment, but we'll see that time. No, again, the gap is maybe a 10th per lap. Nick is really starting to work those lap times out there on those older tires, but still, I think Ricky is in maybe the most favorable situation of anybody to go catch Nick, but first, he does have to get by the 4-time race winner, back-to-back winner of the last 2 weeks, Mr. Benjamin Lacy. I think that's easier said than done, and looking back a little ways further, Brett Guzik is starting to track down Alec Daffin once again, maybe get up to 4th, and remember that the pit cycle there has worked itself out, and the strategic disadvantage that Alec Daffin was at earlier has gone away because he pitted on the same lap as Brett, and by the same token, Benny Hogan is starting to close it in on Christopher Hamilton, and they are also even strategically, actually 1 lap advantage to Christopher Hamilton, who pitted 1 lap later for his fresh tires.
Yeah, another guy I want to quickly shout out. Took last week off. I think he's been off for, well, we all took last week off, but the last race we had, he took off, and I think he hasn't been on the sim nearly as much, but Kevin Foster, such a great support to the league. And he's sitting there in 10th position. It's good to see him rebound and be in the top 10 like we're used to seeing him. Previous champion of the league, I believe a 2-time champion to be exact. But it's good to see him back up here in the top 10, back in his racing form here. And yeah, it's great to see him back. He's a big support to this league and helps us do everything we can to keep this thing going.
Yeah, represents the series on behalf of Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Again, one of the most important sponsors to our series as a whole over the course of the season. So, yeah, good to see he's back in the top 10. Again, quietly making a resume for himself to be a championship driver this year. Just has to seal the deal there and find his way into the top 11 before the end of the race at Talladega. Here comes Lacy again, working the pace back a little bit. Now, he's starting to run dead even with Nick, though the gap has stalled out. So Nick has really kicked it into another gear. Just an incredible drive start to finish for Nick so far, as we come to 10 laps to go, running out of time if you were anybody but that number 2 car. Daffin again still trying to keep that gap between himself and Guzik, and we'll keep an eye on Hamilton and Hogan for the 6th position. But yeah, this is going to be a fun battle here, Chris, and I'm starting to think that despite the maybe slight pace advantage we've seen all night from Ricky Hart Jr. relative to Benjamin Lacy and anybody who's not Nick, it's started to even out now, and I wonder if any part of this is dirty air or if this is just Benjamin Lacy defending about as well as anybody could expect.
Yeah, I'd say so. This is some of the best and we have in this series, right? These guys are are up there in the points. I know Ricky isn't exactly where he wants to be in the points. He's had a couple misfortunes in some races, getting caught up in wrecks or not having quite the right strategy. But this is a great points day for him, regardless of if he finishes second or third. This is what he really wanted to see to help improve his championship run this year, to get back to those championship ways that he had in a couple seasons past. So, yeah, it could be the dirty air. I think that these guys are just so competitive, man. These guys are really good at what they do. Ricky is probably one of the better guys at managing tires, and we've seen it already. The 7 car is probably one of the best, if not the best guy we have for managing his tires. So this is a great battle here. I think that this is something we'll see a lot later in the season, possibly contending for a championship. These are some drivers that I'd like to see up there. Really strong, really competitive. But tonight, man, nothing for that 2 car. As we're approaching here shortly, about 5 laps to go, man, he has put on a clinic. Only 2 tires on the last stop. Everybody else took 4. I thought this lead was going to absolutely disappear on him, but he has proven me wrong, and I think he's proven all of the viewers wrong. The only thing that he doesn't want to see is that yellow flag. I know that maybe the viewers want to see it to kind of stack things back up and see if that 7 and that 1 car had anything for him at this point. But, man, that 2 car. I know I said it last week about Benjamin Lacy. Someone needs to call NASCAR and get that car to R&D. That car is on rails tonight.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's just, it feels like a very traditional, old-timey Bandit Racing League style race with Nick just up front and not looking back. And yeah, it's one of those races where, yeah, entertainment-wise, we definitely like to see the caution, definitely spices things up. But man, I don't think we will lose any sleep at night if Nick comfortably won this thing. And I think it was the most deserved outcome the way he's been running tonight. I'm not going to have any problems with a comfortable Nick win. Not the way he's been driving, not the amount of effort he puts into the sim, and just the amount of pace he's had tonight. And not just in the short term, but in qualifying, only qualified 7th. Had some room to room to grow and had some work to do, and he did it right off the bat and has just dominated since, and hasn't stepped off the gas pedal. Kind of a different style of race than we're maybe used to seeing from Nick lately, but it's what he needed, and it's the perfect bounce back to last week where Benjamin he was the dominant driver at Michigan 2 weeks ago. Now it's gone the other way in the favor of the 2 car, but the 11 car peeking underneath on the inside of your pole sitter, Christopher Hamilton. He's looking for 6th here towards the end of tonight's race as we come to 4 to go next time by.
Yeah, and a really good bounce back for Brett Gruzik. I know that he only qualified 6th. I didn't like what I saw out of him tonight. I expect a lot more out of him, and right now he's riding in the 5th position. He's closing the gap on Alec Daffin, as you alluded to earlier. We're going to see if he can actually pull that off. But great run for him. I was really hoping for Curtis Yancey with that beautiful paint scheme he has to maybe contend a little bit harder for this win. As we see the 8 car get past the 29 of Joshua McQuiggan for 9th place here. So, man, I can't say enough about this 2 car, man. It's amazing to me as we see him basically lapping. He's going to lap Tony Hilbrands here in a moment. It's absolutely insane the pace he's had tonight. I talked to him earlier in the race, or right before the race, and he said, you know what, man, I can't get 3 and 4 down. It's so tricky for me. I'm really good on the short run, but I just can't figure this place quite out. And I just found that so funny. He's been so dominant here in the past, and as we see him here with 2 to go, man, it's been quite a show for him. I can't wait to see if he can pull this thing off, and what a statement this is. Last week, Benjamin Lacy puts him a lap down towards the end of the race. Nick gets his lap back at the end, but I think that was a big statement for Lacy to come out here and say, you know what, man, I'm the man. I'm going to do this year. This is my league. And here we have Nick Nickerson taking the white flag here. He has put on quite a show tonight. See if he can do it as he goes in turns 1 and 2. I don't know if he's going to quite be able to pass Tony Hilbrands, but if I'm him, I'm saying, the heck with it. I'm just going to ride this thing home. He's going to see him go down to the back straightaway here. As we also have the battle for second kind of fizzling out. Looks like Ricky Hart is not going to quite get it done on Benjamin Lacy, but man, Nick Nickerson, he makes a statement here, kind of like Kirk Cousins says, do you like that? I'm back. I'm here. I'm making the statement. This is my league. Nick Nickerson wins at Charlotte.
Yes, he does. Couldn't have said it any better myself, Chris. Yes, Kirk Cousins, do you like that? Well, I think everybody enjoyed that if you were a GFR Racing fan, and a comfortable Nick Nickerson victory. The first one we've seen in a little bit, and what a response to last week's win by Benjamin Lacy. That's how you do it. Apex Sim Racing presented that white flag lap for you, and the victory is presented by Full Send Racing Network here, and tonight's race sponsor, Magothy HR Consulting. But you know what it's time for. Let's get some victory burnouts from your race winner, and a guy who is back for the first time in a little bit. He's just keeping it going. He's got the foot to the floor. He is not backing off here, as again, the podium was rounded off by Benjamin Lacy and Ricky Hart Jr. He's going to run it out of gas here. He's still going at full pace, so I guess Nick is just dialed in, now starting to coast it off a little bit, but winner at Charlotte, a track he's found success at before. He's won here before to win his championship a couple seasons ago, if memory serves, and now going to just slide by on the inside of his GFR Racing teammate Kevin Foster and get ready for some victory donuts here in the infield tri-oval. There we go. There's the old spin from Nick Nickerson. He is back. Hopefully everybody in the chat is pretty happy to see a guy who's very near and dear to our hearts here in the series, a guy who's been pivotal in the Bandit Racing League's history for a very long time, and a guy who now extends his championship lead and becomes the first 5-time race winner on the season. And as far as the stakes for the series go, as far as Bill Harkins said 2 weeks ago, where the championship winner in the Bandit Racing League this year will become the new head of the series, will take over the rights to the Bandit Racing League. Nick is a guy that, if he chooses to take on that responsibility, I think could do a great job. He's been one of the most important faces in our admin group and making sure the series runs flawlessly, as his teammate, the one car of Ricky Hart Jr., tonight's third place finisher, slides into him in the background there. But what a win for Nick tonight, and a guy that could definitely play a factor in the postseason hunt for the championship. But now, you know what it's time for. It's time to go to your post-race interview with your race winner, Mr. Nick Nickerson. Let's just get some stuff prepared for you, and we'll have him in the broadcast booth momentarily. There we go. We are now good to go here for tonight's first interview with your race winner here at Charlotte in the Magothy HR Consulting 125. It is Nick Nickerson. Let's get him up here in the broadcast booth as he parks alongside teammate Kevin Foster. And there he is. Mr. Ricky Hart Jr. will follow in as well. We'll get a better camera angle in a moment. But for now, let's get your teammate up here and your winner, Mr. Nick Nickerson. Hey, Nick, it's Marshall and Chris up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Let's go, man.
Welcome, Nick, back in victory lane. That is the response we like to see after 2 wins in a row from Benjamin Lacy. You fight back. You put yourself as the only driver now at 5 wins on the season. And according to Chris, it was not one you were maybe expecting to be quite this dominant. You were talking about before the race, maybe Charlotte, not one of your favorite tracks, maybe just didn't get the time to put into practice. Talk about through the factors. What was the confidence level at coming in? Just what was better than you were expecting? Because that was a dominant performance from you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, because Charlotte's typically not one of my best tracks. 3 and 4 just bites me every single time I run here, and it happens last season with the series finale. And I don't know, man. Maybe I haven't been on my computer since 2 weeks ago, 2 Wednesdays ago. I've just been kind of busy, with work and everything. So maybe that's just what I needed, just a little bit of a break to kind of regroup. And honestly, I was coming into this race, I was just gonna kind of cruise. I didn't think I was gonna get more than like maybe a top 5, but the opportunity presented itself, and I ran away with it.
Yeah, you really did. That was again an absolute dominant performance. Chris and I were saying there all the way throughout, and it was an interesting race because to go with green all the way through, the first time we've had that in the Bandit Racing League in a while, the strategies definitely started to split off, and you made the bold call there at the end to go for 2 tires. What was kind of the mindset there? What were you kind of preparing against, and did you foresee this race going as green flag heavy as it was?
I didn't, I wasn't sure. So one of the problems I recognized in these past few weeks where I haven't been getting quite the finishes that I want is paralysis by analysis. I'm like sitting here trying to think too much about pit strategy and what I should do in the race, and if this happens I should do this. And this week and moving forward, I just let that out the window. I'm just gonna wing it like I have in the past. And when you try to plan stuff, it never works out the way you want it to. Like, I never would have thought we would have went fully green. And honestly, if we had gotten a yellow, I probably would have gotten past because I was kind of like in a real ultra conservative mode. So yeah, it's I'm not quite sure how we pulled this one off, but it's nice to get a win like that.
Yeah, to be back to the old-timey Nick Nickerson style, dominate from the beginning, lead most of the race, sort of wins. That's what you've gotten us used to here in the past in the Bandit Racing League. But as far as Nick Nickerson wins goes, this is probably one of the more exciting we've had in a while. But just win number 5. That's halfway to the 10 you had. I think was that either last season or the previous, or maybe both, because you've been dominant here in the series for a very long time. But yeah, 5 wins on the series. Yeah. You just get ahead of Benjamin, and we're getting close to that cutoff for the regular season championship. Do you intend in the next couple weeks, do you think at like Homestead or the rest of the regular season calendar, you can extend that? Or are you at all worried about a guy like Brett or like Benjamin chasing you down for the rest of the year?
Well, I mean, getting to 10 is going to be ultra difficult. I'd have to really figure something out really quickly. I just don't think it's possible now that you know, the core group here at Bandit has their skill is elevated so high. I mean, you know, like Lacy and Hart, Daffin, you know, like I don't know if we have any of those kind of California style tracks left, but he's always pretty good there. Obviously Guzik. I mean, there's like 10, 15 guys that can probably be up there battling around in top 5 any given week, and I think just rattling off win after win is going to be very difficult. I mean, shoot, getting back to back was difficult enough this year. So I just don't see that happening. But now that we're kind of getting towards the playoffs, and what I was working on the past 2 months in my work life is finally completed as of today, thank God. So now I have a little bit more free time to kind of sit down and do a little sim racing. So looking forward to the next few weeks.
Nick, it's Chris up here in the broadcast booth. I just had a quick question for you. You know, last week at Auto Club, Michigan, not even last week, 2 weeks ago at Michigan, you know, you had a little bit of a strategy call there that didn't quite work. And as you said, you know, the analysis, paralysis by analysis, you know, how does this kind of stack up to that? You know, I saw this as kind of a statement like, hey, Lacy, I'm here, man. I'm the man to beat. And you really put on a show. You had 2 tires there. You're still pulling away from these guys, man. I couldn't believe it. I said, you know, we got to call NASCAR, put this car through R&D or something, man. But man, just what does that say to the rest of your season? Is this a message that you're sending to these guys, or was this just you said you were coming in here and cruising? It sure looked like you were cruising.
Yeah, first off, I hope I said that right. I hope I didn't say analysis by paralysis. I'll have to go back and read that. But
I think that was just me.
You got it right.
Well, you said it right. I'm just hoping I said it right. But yeah, I mean, I'm not really trying to say any statements, man. We're just all here to have fun. You know, just kind of it worked out in my favor this race. You know, like in Michigan 2 weeks ago, we tried something super bold. Maybe at the time I thought maybe it was going to be a decent call, and it ended up being terrible. So, you know, I just have to, as a team, we just have to work together to not try to get on these wacky, crazy strategies and try to, you know, put everybody a lap down and, you know, like try to get everybody, you know, gotcha. So we just got to go out there and race and just have fun. And when you're having fun and just relax, man, that's when like you have good finishes. I mean, that's always how every race I've ever gotten, every win has always been where I'm just creeping. I'm just cruising, having a good time. I'm not really like struggling or high anxiety or anything. So I think that's the key to winning the championship this year anyways.
Right. Well, if anybody should know, it would be the former champion who also came runner-up last year. So there you go. Now you're ready. You're set. You get back to 5, and you're halfway to the theoretical 10, which has become kind of a staple. But again, not very realistic to expect that every year. You're getting plenty of company from teammate Kevin Foster there jumping by you. But well, in that kind of vein, as he continues to do burnouts, you know the deal here, Nick. First interview of the night. You get your shout-outs. Anybody, friends and family, any sponsors, anybody that supports you in the 2 card. Now's your time. Shout them out.
Yeah, first off, you know, Ricky, Kevin, and Chris, man, teammates. You know, every race we sit here and we chat during the race and we try to come up with the best plan. And it's a really fun element of sim racing, and especially league racing, where we're really working together trying to, you know, figure these races out. But other than that, man, everybody that's watching, I hope that was a fun race. I'm sure there was a lot of good battles back there. Can't believe we ran freaking green flag the whole time. That's pretty amazing. And Bill for all he does with this league. You know, he's awesome, and look forward to seeing what we're gonna do in the future. Sponsors, Big Red Propane, appreciate them. TechNet, Advanced Auto Parts, Neighbors Pool Service, VIP Auto Glass, Perfect Shine Auto Spa for sponsoring the league. And Marshall, man, appreciate you doing the broadcast. Same with you, Chris, man. Did an awesome job. I haven't watched Michigan yet, but I heard you did a really awesome job. So I'm looking forward to watching both of these.
Awesome, well, much appreciated. And at least this one you get to watch back and know what happens at the end, and then it ends with a 2-car victory. Congrats, Nick, 5 on the year. It's been again another season we expect from you. I know we keep you to a very high standard, but you keep living up to it, and that was truly a dominant drive. So congratulations, my man. Take the week, get ready for Homestead, and see if we can make it 6 in a week's time.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. There we go. First interview of the night down with Nick Nickerson, your winner again, 5 on the season. And again, just what do you say about a guy that week over week finds ways to pull wins out in races that are very caution free? But he's won plenty of races that have been hectic and full of cautions to the end. Although I would say more often he is a guy that does thrive in kind of a particularly simple race, kind of what I was alluding to there in the interview. Just I don't know. Nick wins tend to be pretty dominant and thus can be a little bit cut and dry. But hey, that's not his fault in the slightest. That kind of speaks to his ability as a race car driver. So with that, we are now ready for your second interview of the night, and well, here we go. Mr. Benjamin Lacy is not going to make it 3 in a row on wins, but he is going to get on the podium for the 3rd time in 3 weeks. So let's bring him in the broadcast booth, see what's hip hop happening for Mr. Benjamin Lacy. Hey, Benjamin, it's Marshall and Chris up in the broadcast booth. Get a copy.
I got you.
Welcome back, Benjamin. So again, 3 in a row. We talked to you once again in a season that has been absolutely the breakout there for the driver of the number 7 car. Isn't the 3rd win in a row, but is pretty darn close. And it was a weird race overall. It felt like a lot of guys up there up front had pace. And what was it, do you think, at the end that just set you apart from those guys and helped you hang on there for the second?
It was kind of an interesting race. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Kind of had a little bit of hiccup there at the start. I was able to kind of recover from that, and then Ricky had some good pace tonight. He was able to kind of track me down a little bit. So the strategy I had there was just on that last one was to short pin him, and then hopefully make him use up his stuff to come get me, and try to save his mind as much as I could. But Nick was just on a different level apparently tonight. I don't know. Didn't seem like I was gaining much on him at all, if at all. And then he was pulling away too. So. Yeah, I really needed a caution to get him back in line, but yeah, good race by him. It's a fun race overall, and just different strategies playing out, you know. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun indeed. And Charlotte, a track that I think I was talking about a lot pre-race, is one that a lot of drivers are pretty accustomed to. I would say it's kind of one of the default feeder tracks here on iRacing, so one that a lot of people would have experience with. But as far as an intermediate goes, you know, how did it compare to other tracks you've run it this season? I believe you've won it. I think one, if not multiple, intermediates so far this season. So was this a track that you think played well to your skill set, or is this one where you think rival Nick is just it was a bit more up his wheelhouse than yours?
You know, it would have been interesting to see what happened if I didn't get pushed sideways on that. There was nothing intentional about that. It's just kind of what it was there. But maybe I could have been able to hang up with him and keep it a little closer, give a little competition for him. But I think that really kind of set a good gap that was kind of tough to make up, and then he just able to run away from it. But this track here, this setup tonight was a dump truck pretty much. It just did not want to turn, especially through 3 and 4. It would bottom out, push up the track a little bit, but really kind of was tough to do. So my focus here was just save the tire as much as I could, and then run it down when I can, and worked out for a 2nd place.
Yeah, it did. Now going forward, unfortunately, the gap to the points lead in the regular season championship gets a little bit bigger, but you still got plenty of season left. What's the rest of the regular season looking like for you? You got Michigan. You got Homestead next week, similarly sized track, just not the same shape. You got Homestead, then you go to Chicagoland, and then I think it is Talladega. I think those are the only 3 left in the regular season, so we're getting close. 3 very different tracks, but tracks that you think you could potentially have an advantage to both Nick and Brett for to get the regular season championship?
I don't know. They're both good at different types of tracks. They're versatile with what they're able to do. Ricky's in the same boat. I mean, Tony Hilbrands hasn't had much luck this year, but he's another guy that could sneak in there and just pull stuff away. You know, Benny Hogan's been fast all year, so I mean, there's so many variables that can play with these tracks. You just don't know, so you just kind of have to go in and do your homework and come out and perform the best you can. You know, I try my best not to really worry about, you know, what Nick or Brett or, you know, those guys are really, like, what their pace is. I just have to basically run my line and run my race and let it come to me. Easier said than done, especially when you're chasing them down. You're always kind of like, where are they? You know, but yeah, that's kind of been the strategy, just kind of run my race and, you know, you finish where you finish.
You do indeed, and well, there you go. That's good. It's good to hear. It's a good attitude, and I think Nick kind of echoed that. It's just kind of take it how it comes, and just and see what you can do, especially with, as you say, the talent of the Bandit Racing League this season. Sometimes guys are just going to beat you on a certain day, but generally speaking, it's going the other way for you this season. So with that, you know what happens at the end of the interviews. Any friends and family you want to give a shout out to, any sponsors you want to mention, now is your time to do so.
Yeah, you know, Filming the Wild, youtube.com/Filming the Wild. Check them out. Really cool stuff. There goes the engine. Yeah, let's see. Perfect Shine Auto Spa. We got Geezer, Sim Hub Racing, Apex Sim Racing, I think, is with us. So yeah, all of our sponsors, appreciate them. You know, you guys here at Full Send, appreciate that. It's always a fun to go back and watch, you know. So Chris, Marshall, appreciate you. Evan, him too. Bill, admins, everybody. Second Place Motorsports, and I don't know if he's watching tonight, but Cody, we miss you, man. Come on back. I know you said got some stuff going on, so but we miss you. Come back, get a W, because it's been too long for you. All right.
It has. We will absolutely echo that on the Full Send Racing Network side. We are wishing and hoping for the day that we see that 85 car back in victory lane. We've been hoping for a long time, and I'm sure if he just gets back, finds the time to practice, he could be there pretty darn quick. So thank you, Benjamin. Very well said. Very, very thankful for you to give the sponsors a shout out there. And yeah, you've become such a great advocate and such a great representative for the series, and really, it's great to see you back up here on the podium. And I know that top two could very well be flipped next week, and that's why we love the battle you and Nick are having this year. So good luck at Homestead. We'll talk to you in a week, and in the meantime, just have a good one.
Thank you. Y'all too.
And there you go. That'll conclude the second interview of the night with Mr. Benjamin Lacy. And with that, we're ready for your final interview here with third place finisher. Started all the way back in 18th position. Comes home and the final spot on the podium, Ricky Hart Jr. Let's get him in the broadcast booth for your final interview of the night. Hey, Ricky, Marshall, and Chris up in the broadcast booth. Got a copy?
Hey, Marshall. Hey, Chris. I got you. How you guys doing?
We are doing pretty darn well. I mean, Ricky, to be honest there, in the first 5 laps of the race, may not have expected this interview to come to fruition in a race that went green at the end, but the one car was just flying tonight, starting 18th, finishing third, up 15 spots. Just, what was going on? What did you have under you tonight, and why is Charlotte a track that clearly suits you so well?
You got me. I saw that qualifying effort, and you know, I ran the practice race last night, so I had a couple of tricks up my sleeve. You know, hook the bottom through 3 and 4. I was still learning 1 and 2 all night long. Guys were beating me there, but 3 and 4, I felt like I was 2-3 tenths quicker than everybody except for maybe, you know, Nick. And there at the end, Ben Lacy. Man, I got to give it to that guy. He held on. I thought I had him, but I had nothing for him there at the end. But yeah, that was exciting coming from way back there to get a third place finish.
It really was. And again, talk us through that battle there at the end, because you come so close to getting Benjamin, and just how tough was it? We were trying to tell Chris and I, trying to gauge how the dirty air played in effect, and clearly the outside line was getting faster as the stint went on, but just what was the passing strategy there, and what was it that just wasn't working getting around Benjamin?
Yeah, I mean, I was running up when I finally got up there the last couple of runs. I was getting up to Ben and I was passing him. I was passing him on the outside. This final run, I think he had about 2 seconds on me, and I had some traffic to get through, and I guess I burned up all my stuff right then. But the strategy was I was going to get up to him. I tried passing him on the outside. There was nothing there, so I figured, you know, I'm just going to stay in his tire tracks. I've been really good in 3 and 4. I'm going to hook the bottom, and hopefully he's going to wash up and I'll be able to scoot around him on the bottom. Well, you know, that never came. He never fumbled. He just stayed right on top of it. He hooked the bottom in 3 and 4 every single time. Took my line away, and then just started to drive away. That's when I lost my tires, and he was just like, "See you, Ricky."
Yeah, and you know it's tough. You come very close, and obviously we know Benjamin's pace he's had all year. It is not an embarrassing thing whatsoever to lose out at the end to a guy who's been as quick as he has. But generally speaking, this has been a great year for you as well, and I know it hasn't been maybe quite the end result, not quite getting to victory lane yet this season, but you've come very close. And again, that one car, we know it as pace. I'm curious to know, as far as this season, your first year with GFR Racing being affiliated with Kevin, Nick, and Christopher, who was very quick tonight, tonight's pole sitter. What's that been like, and what's that relationship like there as a team, and how do you feel that's affected your driving as opposed to the championship season or last year in season 9?
I like it. It's a lot different than anything I've ever done, especially strategy calls. Everything, up to this season has, just me seating my pants, trying to do things a little bit different, or just basically doing my own thing. Now, the whole, team effort that gets put forth, we're talking about how many laps we got to go, how the tires are doing, is the high line working, is the low line working. When we race around each other, we're giving each other a lot more space than anywhere else, and we're collectively just trying to get to the front. And when we get these long green flag runs like we had tonight, I guess maybe that's the secret potion right there, because all 4 of us finished in the top 9. But I enjoy it, except for Nick winning all the time. I mean, I don't know what that guy's doing, but it's just a lot of fun, and it's different. It brings a whole new dynamic to what we've been doing. And I think, how I've been doing this season, it's been a good season. I haven't been in victory lane yet. And maybe the team aspect has something to do with that, where we're all kind of putting everybody else, first, or, the whole team. But I don't know. I'm having a great time with it. I love it. I don't want to go back any other way.
Awesome. Well, that's what I like to hear. And if there's anybody you can learn from, if you want to figure out what the heck Nick's doing out there up front, well, hey, he's your teammate. You got the best excuse of anybody. So, well, with that, Ricky, you know what to do. You've been here many a times in the Full Send broadcast booth, so good to have you back. But any friends and family you want to give a shout out to, any sponsors, anything you want to talk about, now is your chance.
Shout out to you guys for always putting on a great broadcast. Shout out to all the viewers, everybody at home or wherever you're at watching, to come out and watch us every week. A couple of sponsors this year, never really had this: Big Red Propane, TechNet Professional, Advanced Auto Neighbors Pool Services, VIP Glass, Perfect Shine Auto Spa, a tequila that's in Spanish, Suino de Atzo, and Robert Bowman of Classic Collision. And then always, Geezer Authentics, Bill Harkins for everything he does for the league for all of us. And then all the racers. They put on a great show tonight. To go caution free from flag to flag, that was awesome. If we could do that every single week, I would love it. All right, maybe 1 or 2 cautions spice up the broadcast. You know how it is.
Yeah.
But thank you to everybody. It was awesome.
Nah, sincerely appreciate it. Right back to you, Ricky. And you were one of the many drivers tonight who made this race fun to watch, and 15 passes and a green flag race. That was definitely the highlight of tonight for us. So congratulations, Ricky, getting back to the podium. That was a well-deserved, hard-fought battle, and hopefully next week, maybe a bit further up there in qualifying, and go for the win there, get your first of the season at Homestead. So we wish you the best of luck in doing so. But again, good to talk to you again, because it's been a little bit. Don't make it quite that long next time.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm here next week. Maybe a new paint, a couple new things. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Who knows? We'll talk to you soon.
Before you go, I just want to say, man, I didn't jinx you this week. I did my best to not jinx you. So, I know I was rooting for you, man. You're my sentimental favorite here sometimes, and keep getting her done. That was a good performance today.
Big shout out to Chris for not jinxing me this week. I appreciate it. Results show. So thank you, Chris. I really appreciate that.
All right, take care, buddy.
See you guys.
See ya. Awesome. Well, there you go. Ricky Hart Jr. back on the podium for the first time in a little bit, but certainly I'd imagine not going to be the last time for quite a while. And that'll about that'll about bring it tonight to an end. Of course, I'll do our typical sponsors, a recap, just go over tonight and mention all the groups and people that support this series and allow us to do these broadcasts every week. But Chris, to round it off, a pretty fun race, pretty intriguing race tonight at Charlotte. Again, a win by Nick, which isn't very out of the ordinary, and all green to the end, though. That was exciting to see. I think this is a race that, at least for me, gets me excited for the rest of the regular season, battling it out for the regular season championship between the same guys we saw do really well tonight. But just generally speaking, I think the Bandit Racing League shown a lot of potential to have a lot of green flag races going forward, because tonight was clean. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that was probably some of the best racing we've seen in a while. We had a lot of crazy things happening, guys making some crazy saves. There was contact throughout the race, and drivers were saving it. But, man, like you said, we have a crazy championship race here in store over the next couple weeks, and I'm really excited for that. I think this was kind of the polar opposite as we saw 2 weeks ago at Michigan, and I know Nick is a very humble type of guy, and he doesn't want to say anything about his competition, but I think that this gave him the shot in the arm that he needed to go out there and contend for this championship once again. And it was really nice to see that 2-car up front. I'd like to see if he can back that up next week. We'll kind of see what he has next week, but I don't think that this is done yet. I think that the 7-car and the 04 car and even the 51, these guys are all going to be hunting for that championship. It is still a tight race. I cannot wait to see what we have in store. We're really just getting started here at the Bandit Racing League, and yeah, Marshall, I don't know about you, but this is turning into probably one of the best seasons yet.
Yeah, I would say without a doubt, this middle part of the season has been really fun. Again, not a ton of different winners, but just the way they've got there has been really exciting. A lot of variety as far as the podiums goes, and just some great on-track racing we've seen at this point in the year. So with that, I will about round us off here sponsor-wise. First of all, we want to, of course, thank iRacing, the sim that allows us to put this all on. Geezer Authentics, that is your brand for everything Bandit Racing League merch-related. We haven't really got a chance to talk about it because we didn't get any yellows tonight, so didn't get a ton of opportunity, but of course Bandit merch can be found on geezerauthentics.com. That is where you go for anything Bandit Racing League related, as far as t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, cups, mugs, anything you want to support the series. It is very cool. It is all curated by our very own Bill Harkins, who leads the series as the owner and operator this year, but he did all of this work on Geezer Authentics to make these awesome merch options for you guys to sort through. So if you're a fan of certain teams, certain drivers, give it a shout at geezerauthentics.com, always linked in the description, so go check them out. Young Guns Racing shirt you see there, featuring some of the best up-and-coming young drivers in the series. With that, though, we get on to Apex Sim Racing, one of our other valuable sponsors here in the Bandit Racing League world. For anything sim racing accessory related, you want some button boxes, some wheelbases, some wheels, anything you can imagine as far as trying to get yourself in the sim racing rig and joining the series as a driver rather than as a spectator, that's where you want to go. Remember to use code BANDIT at checkout to save on your purchase. Then you got Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Of course, we talked about Kevin Foster, one of our longtime partners of the series. Well, Perfect Shine Auto Spa has been a longtime sponsor as well. They sponsor everything as far as pre-race intros and anything related to through the fields and post-race results. They are proud to bring you all of that, and they do so in their website being linked in the description down below. Track Cams for Gourmets, they bring you all the custom camera angles that are new to the series this season that hopefully provide a new level of depth to the broadcast. And after that, it's just evanwallmedia.com. Evan Wall Media, again, the longtime co-commentator of the series, former broadcaster before I joined in here on the Bandit Racing League, and hopefully he'll be back before too long here. But I know he's very busy, and he's got a lot of stuff going on there with school. So evanwallmedia.com, go check him out. His link is in the description. Does custom iRacing paints and any graphic design stuff like that. Go check out his YouTube channel as well at Evan Wall Media on YouTube. And then the link is there to his stuff, and he's a huge supporter of the series, so we'd really appreciate it if you went to check him out. One more time, we also want to thank Magothy Consulting, Magothy HR Consulting, on behalf of Eddie Haggy for tonight's race sponsor here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. What a race it was, and we really thank them for joining on the series as a new partner for a race here tonight, and hopefully we gave you plenty of information to get about them. Again, if you have a small business and you're looking for some consulting as far as operations and anything human resources related, that is where you want to go. Again, the link is in the description to their website, or contact Eddie Haggy, that is EDDIEHAGIGH on Facebook. And that will about round us off. On behalf of myself and Chris Ferrara, we'll give you one more chance. Chris, any final thoughts here before we head off the air?
Marshall, let's let's fast forward to next Wednesday, man. I'm ready to keep this going. This was really fun tonight. I hope the viewers had fun. I know it probably wasn't the race that they thought they were going to have. I certainly didn't think we were going to go green all the way to the end, but I had a lot of fun tonight. I hope the viewers did, and thank you once again, Marshall, for allowing me to come up here in the booth with you. This has been a blast, and I hope that the viewers are enjoying me and you kind of going back and forth here, sharing our knowledge about what we know about the league and the sport, and I hope we can continue to do this later on in the season.
So do I. I've loved this experience having you alongside me, Chris. It is always a pleasure. Really looking forward to next week at Homestead. And until then, just have a great week, folks. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And yeah, have a good one. We'll see you back here, same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern, or I don't know what that is in any other time zone, but you know where to find us, Full Send Racing Network here on YouTube, same time next week. And we will cover all the action from Homestead Miami Speedway for the second round of the Rogue Energy triple header. So get ready for that. Got some fun stuff in the works for that. But for the Geezer Authentics Xfinity Series, the 10th season of the Bandit Racing League, I am your host and your founder here of Full Send Racing Network, broadcasting live here in lovely Canada. Joined alongside me is Chris Ferrara. We'll get ready to go for next week at Homestead. And in the meantime, have a great week. We will see you all very soon.